This will be Scott Miller from Road Leading the House. Who wants to come forward?
Hello.
Floor is yours.
Okay, I'm Scott Miller. The reason I'm here is because I talked to the road supervisor and he said he can't touch our road, he can't blade it, he can't maintain it until you guys give him the go ahead. The road needs gravel, at least from our loads, the gravel that was never finished. I think it got 2 or 3 loads before. It's really slimy, the bus almost, slid off there.
Anybody who drives on a road, there's no gravel, there's nothing, I wouldn't drive, it's so dangerous.
Like right now, it's really slimy.
Yeah, but when it's dry, it's bad, and when, even the worst time is when it's raining, there's no gravel in it. The bus is almost gone in, and like I said, we had a 16-year-old girl that, she had wheels teetering over the edge and everything. She won't even drive when it's dry, she's in her current small under down. It's, and just getting it bladed and everything seems like it's always, we just beg for everything. But if somebody's doing it on our road that we don't want there and we call the police, we can't do anything about it, it's not trespassing, it's county road. So it's like, we pay our taxes, we can have to let anybody in the whole world who wants to sit on that road, even if they're standing there in their underwear, stay there. That happened. But yet nobody wants to help us maintain it. I don't understand why. Because when Jock and Volk lived there, he was the only one at the end of that road and it was maintained then. It's 17th Avenue.
The reason we don't, Scotty, is because, when we built that house, that lake was underwater, that road was underwater already there. We don't really have the responsibility. It's not our responsibility to fix up a road going through a lake.
It wasn't underwater when we built the house, didn't happen.
Until
after, that road never went underwater in 150 years. And of course, the day we built a house up there, but the road is pretty high above the water now. I don't think it's gonna go under the water anymore. The main thing is it needs to be bladed and, some maintenance. I mean, we're paying taxes. I don't understand why we can't have some gravel on our road.
You're taxing us on our house up there, and then why should I pay taxes on?
And we have to let anybody, it's right on the internet, and our road is public access road. It says anybody who wants to go on there, it's Miller Lake or whatever, fishing access, anything. We can't tell anybody they can't be there because it's not our property.
It's a section line, so anybody can travel on any section lines.
Well, it's not considered a section line. It's considered 17th Avenue.
Well, I think
The other road,
Which is identified legally as a section line, correct?
Right.
the section.
17th Avenue is, I think we're getting confused with the section line being like a trail versus the section line actually being the actual legal parcel. So yeah, 17th Avenue is on a section line.
And when we did that road for you, Scotty, when we kind of built it up, we said it's just going to be a temporary thing, just to help you out. I mean, we didn't have to do that, and we did what we did there. And I don't think it's our responsibility to keep sticking taxpayers' money in it.
Well, I live by a lake too, and there's a road that goes south of me. And that used to be Highway 83. In the 50s, after that, it was inundated with water. I think they built that 3 times.
but the water's not the problem. The problem is it needs gravel. It's nowhere near the water. The water's 15 feet from the road. I'll be surprised if that goes under the road again in our lifetime.
You're asking for gravel.
We're asking for gravel for blading in the winter time so the school bus can get there, or if we need an ambulance or something,
You're not asking for the whole sections or.
No, we're just asking
17th
for normal
Avenue totally
maintenance,
open.
so people can get in and out of our road. I mean, we're not concerned. You guys built that road up pretty high. I'm not gonna complain about that at all. I'm very happy that you did that. Our problem now is just regular maintenance. They don't come and blade it. Last year when he talked to the blader, they told him he had a payloader, he should do it himself, right after that big blizzard. But we can't get it cleared the way somebody with a blade. You know, you can't go out there every hour and clear it, so a buzzer. You know, it's scary when you can't get off your property, especially if you have health issues.
Have you looked at it, Scott?
Yeah, this spring when they first initially called.
I did too.
See, it's not wide enough really either, you know, I mean, it's not, we never built it, I mean,
It's built to travel, is it not?
You can travel down.
Right?
Just like now, this rain, by tomorrow, you won't be able, I won't drive on it, I would be terrified, and most people won't, even the school bus stops. But if it just, it's just because there's no gravel on it, it's so slimy, and then there's no shoulder, so of course, you need to have some traction to get across it. You know, it's just normal maintenance like that, gravel to keep the potholes and the water. You know, if there's no gravel, that water, it is gonna erode faster, because you know, you're destroying the road just by traveling it, because there's nothing to.
Can I ask Skylar, what do you feel it takes, Skylar, to bring that up to par? Just gravel base, what, a 5-6 inch base of gravel or what?
Well, I know we dumped 4 loads of gravel last year on it, last spring. I believe it was 4 loads.
And it's way better than it was before that, but it's still not quite. I just don't want, you know, I have all these young kids that travel the road. We have high school. I have 2 daughters that are seniors in high school. We have all the young kids driving up and down that road, and it's dangerous. I just don't want to see one of those kids end up in the lake on a rainy day, you know?
So what I think to make it passable, I guess it'd be a little bit more gravel and maybe one, like a half load of rock, because there's one spot that kind of washed out a little bit, close to where that lady, girl went in. Like you might be able to pull some rock and just
With the next
resituate it to make it look, you might not have to haul any in. That's what it would take.
It's not a big problem. From what you see, Scott.
Not our biggest problem.
Okay.
I think you got some rock up there too, there's some of my stuff there too, you could, some rock piles there too, I think, right?
Yeah, just right.
It is riprap though, right?
Yeah.
You don't need the riprap, you just need the road surface.
There might be a half a load just for one spot that's kind of coming out, but I could probably move enough rock.
Well, I mean,
Already existing there.
there's rock real close there if you need some, because I.
Yeah, we have some rock piles not too far from there. We just, I just want to feel safe driving across the road. You know, and my kids, I have young kids driving. I got a daughter that drives to check cattle on the 4-wheeler, stuff like that, you know what I mean? And I know we have other roads in other areas that we have to maintain. We got the section line going all the way around. You know, we don't travel that on dangerous days if we can help it. You know, we don't have public. And not only that, I also have a business, so I have customers coming from all over the country driving down that road. I just, in my mind's eye, I see somebody ending up in the lake on a day like today. I don't even know if it's quite good enough. How was it this morning? I wasn't paying attention.
My guy almost stopped, but then, you know,
I wasn't paying attention. I was having notes on my phone.
if you guys drive it right now, you guys will, you're not gonna like driving across that.
I mean, there's people that literally will not, you know, people have been driving like years that won't, they're scared to pass that road when it gets like this. But the rest of the year, I mean, the winter, it's just when it rains, so I don't think it would take much. We understand it's not a big major, you know, I just feel like if anybody who wants to can go hang out on that road or do whatever they want on that road, I don't understand why we can't just keep it maintained. I understand you said if it goes underwater, you're not gonna fix it again and we'll have to figure something else out. I just like it to be passable. I don't want the school bus full of kids to end up in our lake. You know, and it's really that bad on these days where one of these days is gonna end up in the lake. And if it's just a matter of gravel, we used to have lots of gravel, but when we bought the farm, the gravel was gone. So if we had our own gravel, we'd do it ourselves, but it's gone.
There's a few times Kenny won't come across, I have to take the kids, I take the 4-wheeler, go get the kids up at the stop sign. And Brandon, she said he's not going across her no more. You know? If you want, you can talk to the school too, I guess.
It's only on days like today, and once it dries out, it's okay, unless sometimes when it really rained and we got that 6 inches of rain, we got such deep ruts, because there's nothing, there's no gravel, there's no loose, anything to fall in, to fill in that area, so it just, I don't know, I'm not a road guy, it's just that, from the roads I've traveled around here, I think that's the main problem, it's just gravel, and like you said, that one area, now that you mention that there is a spot, but the water hasn't gotten high enough since you guys.
So, when the wind blows pretty hard, does it splash up on the road?
Yes.
But that's not that big of a lake, is it? But I remember.
It's a lot bigger than it used to be.
It's
It's not.
It's deep though.
It's
Yeah.
deep.
It's deep.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, the other issue I know that they talked about is I believe that road's been raised
Got 3 or 4.
one or two other times too, where it's actually.
So it's steep.
It's steep.
So it's a liability.
Right, but I mean, let's not forget one thing here, I mean, you guys decided to build that house there too, though, I don't like the precedence that's getting set with a lot of folk where, I mean, the reason why we're hesitant with the maintenance on a lot of this stuff is people decide that they're gonna build a house on a road that's not very accessible and then they demand this access, like, I don't think what you're asking today is that demanding, but it seems like it never ends, and that's the reason why we're always trying to make a stance on some of this stuff.
We built the house, the road was in great condition, we didn't know it was gonna go.
I know, but you already
If I
said.
said anything, we would have built it down there.
Well, you already said before that the road hadn't been underwater in 150 years, and that's just not true, because that road's been raised by a couple of our older road employees who've been here before, it's been raised before. And that's always kind of the issue that we run into, is with these scenarios where people wanna have all this access in places where there's just not very easy to maintain a road, and so that's why you're getting hesitant of it, I mean, I don't think asking for gravel's that big of a deal, and I really don't see a problem with it, but.
Yeah, but it went, came back out, right? Yeah, this time it never came back out. There have been a few, what we meant by that is it's never just gone underwater and never came back out. Like,
Right, because the county raised it up though, like that's the point I'm trying to make.
that was in 97.
Right, so I mean, I really don't see an issue with wanting some gravel on it, we spent the time and the effort to raise the road, we might as well maintain it and keep it decent, but the hesitance comes from the fact that there's these roads in the county that everybody demands to be in such good driving shape that there probably really wasn't meant to be a lot of access to those spots, at least not every day, 360.
But as community grows, your responsibilities also grow. I mean, right, I believe the community's probably gonna look into different in another 25 years, or, at some point, you have to make it accessible. And I understand that you can't put millions of dollars, I mean, you're not having, at least you don't have to put blacktop and all that stuff down. I mean, for us, all I'm asking is that I don't have to worry about somebody driving into the lake,
Right, I
And
guess-
then whose fault is that, if somebody goes off the county road
I'm
into the
glad you
lake?
mentioned that, because my point was, the reason why I brought this up is everybody likes to come in and they like to place this blame on the county. The liability's on the county, if a bus full of children goes in the water, it's the county's fault. We didn't tell you to build a house there. We didn't tell you to run a business out of there. We didn't tell you to do any of that stuff. So I'm not saying we're not gonna do anything, but the hesitance comes from the fact that I feel like everybody wants to build wherever they want, and then it's the county's responsibility to make sure that no one else is ever liable.
But
for
the county was maintaining that road before we ever built our house up there.
Right, exactly, and the point I'm trying to make is it went underwater again, it probably wouldn't have gotten raised if you wouldn't have built your house there. So now that you built your house there, now the county has to go and keep fixing this road and keep investing in this road.
But you already were.
And then every issue with it is always our liability. Now, if a busload of kids goes in there, it's the county's fault. Well, the county didn't even want a busload of kids on that road. We
Well, I
didn't
know,
want
if
to keep bringing
communities
kids in.
grow, people are gonna build houses and bring business, then I would think there'd be something that you.
Exactly, but nobody ever wants to accept the liability that they're the ones actually putting some of the people in danger. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying that the county doesn't have a responsibility to maintain the road system, but let's not go out there and play this blame game where if you don't gravel it, kids are gonna die in the school bus.
I'm not
and it's your
saying that, I
fault.
just said, all I said was if that happens, whose liability is that? Simply because I personally called the police on somebody standing on that road in their underwear for hours at a time that was obsessed with my daughter, who was a known drug person in the community, who isn't even around here anymore, ended up in jail or the nut house or something. But they said that's a county road, there's nothing we can do. So to me, if he'd been on my property, I would have escorted his ass off my property to keep my children safe. But I didn't have the right to do that because he was 2 feet over that line, standing there in his underwear.
Right.
And so, I don't know the liabilities, I hopefully no bucket kids ever goes in, I'm just saying, I just want a little bit of maintenance. I'm sorry we built our house there. I didn't know it was gonna be a problem. I get people should call and ask the county first. All I know is it was a road that was always there. It was on our property. You guys had maintained it. We had easy access. We know you're not gonna maintain our driveway or the other part of our, area that goes back to the corrals. But we were, you know, if the county, if we were told it was, I mean, it's a county road, that's all I know. I'm sorry about everything that happened. I just don't want to have a dangerous situation. And I can't afford to spend, you know, either $25,000, $30,000 maintaining that road every year. I can barely afford everything else that's going on in the world. And I don't want to have an unsafe place, and I don't know what else I'm supposed to do about it, besides come here. You know, we could have easily built our house over on the other side closer to 83 and had a little driveway, but we didn't because we already had a road.
Well, I don't see a problem with putting some gravel on it and maintaining it since we already went through and built it up. I don't see a problem with that. My frustration comes with everybody always wanting to put liability on us when we're not the ones making the decisions where we build these houses. That's where my frustration comes in, because it happens all the time. And like you said, you can't always help the weather, but it's not 100% on the county because the road went underwater and now this always has to be maintained all the time, so. But I guess unless anybody else has a different opinion, I got no problem with having the road gravelled and bladed at least, because it is access to a residence, so.
Well, the other thing though, Scotty, like snow time in the winter time, we're not gonna be able to come out there every hour and clean the road out, you know what I mean?
But we don't
I
expect.
expect that either. Just once in a while, when you guys are going by, just blade it, you know.
But I mean, if that plugs, you'll have to open it yourself. And
Well, I always do, all winter last year, 3 times a day, because people go to work, you know.
And we keep it clear, but it's nice if
But I
at
like
some
when
point
they
during the
come
storm, they come and get rid of those big piles, because that just makes the snow plug up the road worse. Believe me, the day that road went underwater in the first place, we wished. It cost us a lot of extra money because there was no access to that house at that time. And,
Skylar, did it have any other gravel that's a little coarser?
Well, the Hummel pit right there is on the corner of 13. So,
Well, I mean, is that,
13.
how far is it old there? 3 miles?
Yeah, not very.
Yeah, not very far. So there's gravel close.
I'm looking, you know, like if it's so slimy all the time, there's too much clay in there maybe. I don't know if there's.
I've never driven on a road that slimy, it's crazy.
Just if there's anything with less, you know, just more
Kind of
rocks.
sandy or rocky gravel.
More sand.
Coarse rock.
Well, I think the big thing is just have Skylar look at it and then see what you think as far as the gravel to go on it and just grab what you get the place.
Yeah,
Okay,
common sense goes.
well, we need to continue on if that's what you're looking for. I don't see a problem with gravel.
We just want just that regular little bit of maintenance. I know nobody knows what the future holds with that, but you guys, I know it's tough, and I know you're in a tough position, but, you know, but you're gonna have people, I mean, we want growth in our community, I think. I mean, we want a better economy. We still want our nice, country life. We don't want a big city moving in, but, you know, when people are trying to build up and attract people to the community, you know, the county is gonna end up, at one point, having either more roads or more responsibility, to maintain those roads. So, I mean, I know it's tough to do, you guys, but try to keep in mind that growth is a good thing, and when we build, it shows our economy is, you know, people don't build houses except for us.
The only
When
thing
the
there,
economy's bad, we got hit by COVID when we were building, and that was,
the only other thing on that road there is one, you know, that road's gotta come up 3 more feet or 4 more feet before that would ever run out. So if that road would ever go underwater again, I mean, you can't expect the county to come do it again though.
yeah. Well, hopefully that won't happen, I don't know.
We'll cross it.
Well, yeah, whatever happened.
We gotta move on.
It's move on.
Yeah, Skylar will take a look at it and see what can be done to make it better.
Well, thank you.
Yep.
Yeah. Thanks for your time.
You bet.
Site on the agenda will be Robert Bauman with an easement for the road project. Robert, you on? Okay, if I hang up on you, it's an accident. I think I got it on speakerphone. Okay, are you still there?
Yes, I am. Can you
Okay.
hear me?
Yep, you're on speakerphone, Bob. The floor is yours.
I got a note or call from Old Construction, and I just want to understand if there was an easement to go in for land to fix the road, and I just want to make sure I understand what it is and if there's no liability for again.
Mike, do you know anything about this?
Yes, it's to fix, at Singer, those culverts that are plugged. Yes, to extend or replace them and we're asking for a temporary construction easement. It'll be basically on the water, so we can put our, silt fence or.
Your steel.
floating.
Okay, so it's gonna, all the work's gonna be in the lake?
Basically, in the lake, yeah.
Okay, so Bob, Mike Ravinius is here from Old Engineering, and the easement is just a temporary construction easement because you own the land underneath the water at Singer Lake, and they need to access that to repair, or did we decide if we're extending the culverts or replacing?
We're gonna bid both options.
Okay, so we're either going to extend or replace the culverts on 88th where we did that emergency grade raise, because the culverts are either partially or fully plugged and they're not equalizing and flowing like they should. So it's just basically a temporary construction easement for culvert work on 88th there in the lake, basically.
Okay, and so it's nothing on 16th Avenue that's been controversy,
Nope,
doesn't have anything to do with that?
nope, it's all to do with that federal aid road going east and west on the north side of your guys' place.
There's two culverts or one?
Two,
Well, technically,
There's actually three.
but
three.
we're only gonna extend or replace two.
Two?
There's two of them that are the same size and one's
Wait,
small.
yeah,
Yeah.
I'm trying to think if there's two in one or one in one. They're not together, or,
No, I think there's two side by side, and one's off to the side a little bit that's a little smaller or something, so yeah. It'll just be for the two main culverts is the plan right now.
They own land on both sides?
No, apparently we only have easement from whoever owns it on the north side.
Okay, so the north
the
side,
south side of New York is on the north.
yep, and they already have the temporary construction easement on the north side for it, so they're just asking for that for the south side. It's basically gonna be probably a coffer dam and some work next to the road once the water's lowered, so it's all gonna be basically mostly in the road right away and a little bit outside of it probably, so. It's all gonna be in the lake essentially.
Okay, just that there's no liability for us, I mean, I don't.
No.
No, and it'll all be spelled out in the easement, it's basically, they're just asking for access temporarily for construction, so that's all it'll be. Once the project is completed, that easement will be done, it doesn't go longer than the project, so. Whatever deadline they're gonna set for the project will be the end of the easement, I assume. Yeah. So,
This fall, correct?
Not this fall.
it'd probably be the spring or the summer, or next year, depending on the weather conditions and the water and
So
stuff.
what'll happen without these culverts equalizing that water? With the road?
Same thing as doing now.
Okay.
Kind of backs up to the north, you know.
And the north side's higher than the south side. Yeah, so. Okay, so yeah, so that's what the easement's for, Bob.
Okay. Well, yeah, we'll go ahead and sign that, then, it's for the betterment of, obviously, everybody in the community, and I'll go ahead and do that.
Okay, yeah, I'm sure somebody from Wool's office will be contacting you again, or there'll be some kind of situation there where they'll be able to meet with you and you guys can iron out whatever questions or concerns you have with them.
Okay. If I have 15 minutes, can I use it to some of this time to, there's been a letter to the paper here saying that we were kind of accused of excessively using taxpayer money, and I just kind of would like to know if Karen or Don would go on the record and say that no work was done on our, they get called Bauman Road, just kind of so people are aware of that.
I guess
I'm sure you guys, seeing and read the letter, I just felt like I was kind of being accused of wasting taxpayer money, and that's not the case.
Well, I feel like there's probably just been a lot of accusals going both ways on this thing, and I just feel like the best thing to do is to just let it end. I mean, I don't see why we have to keep rehashing the issues here. As far as the Bauman Road, I guess it depends, there was work done on the section line, there was work done in the past on all the road, there's been all kinds of stuff, so I don't really see why there's any need to clarify anything. I think we just need to let this process go.
Well,
So, I think the county's got the county's got its position, you got your position, Bob, and neither side's really convinced by it, so, I think it's probably best to just, let it go. That's my plea. It's time to move on. Anybody else have any other opinion on the subject? Okay. Okay, well, I think that's all we have now for now, Bob.
All right.
All right, thanks for your time. Yep, they'll be contacting you any day here now, and they're here, and they'll, any questions or concerns you have, they'll iron it out for you.
Okay.
All right, thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Okay, next item on the agenda would be Dennis Weigel with a section line matter. Thanks, Mike, thanks for coming in. Floor is yours, Dennis.
Good. I was just wondering about that section line. I talked to you earlier, and I talked to Gary a little bit, and sounds like there's no record of it in here.
What, the discussions?
We're discussing the prairie trail. It keeps washing out, it's really sandy, and the last 2 years it's probably lost 2 feet. And there's a wind tower line underneath. We know where it's at, but we don't know how deep it is. And the wind tower guys don't know how deep it is. So if the grader hits that, I mean, he's gonna cry it, let's face it, I mean, you know, if he scrapes it. It is encased with a rubber casement, but,
They do not know the depth.
pardon?
They do not know the depth.
That's not possible, or?
When they put it in, they put it in the worst spot possible.
Do they have a locator?
I even told them that, but it was halfway through, I got there, they didn't move it. And it's boring. I don't know why they can't tell. And it's really sandy. Or used to, it's just a hill, used to come by and grade it. But I really don't want them to do that. That's what MC did it. I mean, there's a lot of liability there. So, and then Leonard was on.
So who does it fall on next year?
Yeah, well, I mean, the stance has been for quite a while that we're not maintaining the section line, you know, the prairie trail type section lines, because we just won't have time to, there's maybe not the material, it's not a good situation. I know I talked to Gar about it. He says he hasn't bladed it probably 10 years, or this is the last time it's been.
It's been there since then.
Yeah, so he said it's been, he said it's a pretty ugly section line. It's kind of similar to the Silver Culvert up by Braddock or some of these other ones, where there's section line trails that are, you know, they're on sandy ground, and it rains or big spring runoff, and then you get washouts in and stuff, and the problem is, you know, how do you fix them washouts without probably hauling material, and how you're fixing a section line perpetually, basically. I mean, that's kind of the, you know, as far as any approval of fixing this road, I haven't found anything, and I know Marlis hasn't found anything, and I don't remember any discussion on it, because since I've been commissioner, our stance has been that we haven't been fixing those section lines. I mean,
Well, it's been within the last, 3 years at longest, but we think it's 2 years ago. I talked to Leonard again this morning, and he said he doesn't know what happened. He says it was approved, it should have been in the minutes, but they haven't found it, right?
Well, if there was a motion, it would be, because I have to put motions.
And they weren't gonna fix it up, I mean, they were just gonna add dirt on top, so it won't wash away.
How long of a stretch is it?
That part's probably the yards. It goes down, and it's a real sandy stuff. You know, the wind will blow. It's not only wash away, it will blow.
And you have,
What?
you're traveling that section.
I gotta travel out of the sand, I gotta get through there. That's the only road through. I know, when Leonard came out, he took one look at us, yeah, he says, we gotta do something. And then he called me months, 2 months later, said, yeah, it's approved, and I just let it go. I just thought, when you got time, they'll come and do it. So when I called here, they find out there's no record or anything. It's kind of wondering what's going on.
I think there's some misremembering going on, because I don't remember. I haven't been a part of any approval for fixing section lines since I've been on. That's kind of been our stance for several years here at least, just because of the need that we had everywhere else, so
That's what he told me, he said it was approved.
I don't think it's been approved, I don't think at all. Because even when Francis was here as a road superintendent, we weren't fixing section lines when we needed. So.
Well, it's just a little strip, it's not the whole section.
Right, but every section line in the county has a little strip that needs to be fixed, and that's the whole point of not going in there, because if we have 1,200 miles of certified road, we probably got 3,000 miles of section line trail that, you know, I mean, but there would be no way to be able to maintain all that, there's just no way.
You gotta consider too that this is a big hazard, if that line gets hit. You
Yeah, but
know,
that line's not our responsibility too, I mean, that line is next there, isn't
but you
it?
can notify.
Yeah, but they put it to the proper depth, and they're not maintaining their own wire or anything, I mean, that's not.
So is that right where it's washing out, where that line is?
It's washing out and blowing out,
Right where the line?
Right where the line was poured.
halfway south.
Well, then
They should know, I mean, you can tell.
Was it bored or was it plowed through? Because I don't think they were boring on the section,
Yeah, they bored it,
they bored that?
yeah,
Then they should
they
be,
bored every one.
Well, then they should know by, can't you detect?
You can, you can.
I'm sure they could locate
And
that.
they're
You can detect how deep it is, but they probably don't wanna.
next there, just doesn't want to address it.
Because where they started boring, you know, they go back quite a ways, they dug down, then they dug over. Well, when they dug over, that road was already 5 feet down, you know, pushing dirt away and stuff. Yeah, so didn't,
I'd push next there,
pardon me?
I would push next there.
But,
You granted them an easement, did you not? You granted them an easement, didn't you?
so,
You granted them an easement.
well, yeah, when we signed up for wind towers, yeah. It's a section lines between mine and Terry Whiteman's.
I didn't.
Well, I guess I was under the assumption that they were gonna be maintaining those roads and stuff where they need
Well,
stuff. So
if they came under the county section, then should be what that too.
Right, well, I'm sure they did, I'm sure it was part of the permit, you know, when we do these permit deals, I'm sure they had a permit process too. I was always told that they were gonna take care of erosion problems and things like that, and so.
Isn't there verbiage in their easement spelling it out?
Not that I know of. It's just a regular easement.
Yeah, they're a complicated easement.
Yeah.
What people decide it's complicated. It's like 23, 24 pages.
Yeah, a big,
Confidentiality clause.
but no, I am out there, it was, he's no longer wet. He came out and said there's no record. He didn't know how deep it was.
And they're not concerned about it.
Doesn't look like it, no. They don't use the road. You know, it's not one of their roads. They just bored every section line. Emmons County, wind tower. They never dug on it.
Okay.
So even if it's out in the middle of nowhere, it was a section line, they bored it.
It's got a river out.
This is the first I'm ever hearing about it, so no, I've never,
Okay.
I have no clue where it's located at or what section line.
Where's it at then?
This is the first I'm hearing about anything.
Section 25, 134 north, or township 134 north and range 74 west.
135, 34?
No, 25. Section 25, township 134 north and range 74 west. Oh, welcome. Any of you guys go look at it if you want.
Section 25, 134.
South, it would be the south line. It's on, the 71st
Middle
Street.
quarter of
Here.
Where's it located then?
North of Jim Schmidt's.
Right there by that dot?
So here's,
There's
25, so this is yours, Dennis, and then right between.
It's right there by Scott's, Terry's, and my corner. A half mile
Oh, right by that
section.
creek that runs through.
Yeah, there's that big Collier's Snow Creek,
That's where they bored it.
halfway down the hill. Don't ask me
Why the
why.
hell?
It was the worst spot they could afford. Even the wind guy, wind tower guy, when he came out and looked at it, says, why in the hell did they bore here? I have no idea.
Shouldn't be on the road.
So it's on the corner right there with those two intersections, what is that, 71st?
Yeah, 71st and it would be 23rd.
That's
Avenue?
It's a right corner part there.
So it's on, more on the 23rd Avenue, right?
No, it's
no.
on 71st, east of 23rd.
East of 23rd,
Yep.
going north and south across that section line going east.
So
It's
is
a
it,
little bit further, east where the arrow is. Yeah, that's right about there, yeah.
Yeah.
is that passable now?
They boarded, I'm sure they
When you
know.
board, deeper than when you plow.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so it should,
Well, if they boarded and they followed the county spec on that, you gotta be like 6 feet below the lowest flow line.
Was there a culvert in there?
There's a culvert in the bottom, oh yeah. That one we put in.
Yeah, what is the bore on top from the side, 10 feet?
No, I think it's 6 feet, 6 feet below the bottom of the ditch, I think is the spec on that. Well, there's probably no ditch there, so I'm sure they're probably 6 feet.
I'm saying, yeah, the ditch, you know, on a regular section road, there ain't much of a ditch anyway.
So is it passable at all? No?
Yeah, I keep throwing, I love it out.
Oh,
The way Leonard was saying, they were just gonna throw some pea rock in or gravel. Not fix it up. I'm not saying fix it up, just so keep it from, washing away. Throw something in there.
Rock and clay and gravel over the top, right?
That'd be good, yeah. Something that just, won't wash away.
You got small rock in your area? Where you
I
got
got a lot of
sand,
rock.
usually nothing. What do you?
No, I don't have gravel.
Okay. Spots where you had dump gravel or rock, just let it pack in.
You put back in, once you drive it, it will sink in, the big gravel. I know they gravelled it many years ago, just one load, and that lasted 2 years. And it pushed in, and it was gone. That was more than 2 years ago, that was a while back.
And Nextera will not entertain that.
Pardon?
Nextera will not entertain that by dumping two loads of rock.
Yeah, that'd probably work, something like that. Probably be best if you guys look at it. You probably know more than I do about it. That way you guys at least have an idea what the heck, you're working with or looking with. But, and call the wind tower guys, I got no place for it. I have them out there, but that was it. And like you say, the ditch is up 5 feet from the road, the road part's the low part.
Yeah.
Now, they bore, did it go bore, a U underneath or straight? I have no idea.
They call them the mother. Slope is higher than the road.
Oh, where they built them with the mucker? No, the mucker took a flat spot and it carved a ditch and took the dirt from the ditch and just threw it up on the road top and they used the dozer to level it off, so. The mucker was almost like a dredge or something, or like a conveyor, it just took the dirt and just threw it basically, so.
And there's still a lot of those roads that are traveled in our area, that, Skylar. They built these bunkers,
Well, like this one, I don't even think was built with a mucker, this is basically just a prairie trail, and it's eroding on the slope of a hill, there's probably 100 of them like that in the county here, and that's the reason why we aren't maintaining them, because there's just too much time and effort going into that needs to be in other places, that's the reason why we haven't done it, it's the same thing with like the Black Bridge Silver Culvert up there at Braddock, and, there's half a dozen other section lines like that most people are just maintaining them themselves. If there's a hole in it, they fill the rock in, them and a neighbor get together. I know that's what they're doing up by Braddock. And one guy tore down a bin and had some concrete riprap and he went and threw it next to the culvert to keep the culvert from washing out.
They call him, they're supposed to get approved, okay.
Well, like that one guy just asked me if he put some riprap there and I said, well, I don't think that's a problem because it was washing out next to the culvert.
Yes.
It was only like a dump truck load or something and he set it down there with his skid loader and laid it in there and, they're maintaining it themselves because they're the ones that are using it for the most part,
so that's the way it is down there. I got road too where it gets rough and I just take this and look about the blade is it?
Well, I mean, the stance has been with this commission since I've been on here that we're not fixing section lines. So, I mean, what I mean by section lines is like the actual, like the prairie trails, you know, I mean, we're obviously fixing section lines as in the roads of ours that are on it, but we're sticking to the certified roads and stuff. I mean, that's kind of.
Well, I talked to Leonard again this morning, and he swears it was passed.
Yeah, I do not remember that at all, and it's not in the minutes, so
I had no part of it.
so I would say that that's probably just Leonard misremembering or something. I mean, we might have discussed it, I mean, we discussed things like that every meeting, but I don't think there was really any approval. And I mean, the way we were doing section lines, I think if we would have decided to fix a section line, we probably would have made a motion on it, because we've been denying section lines every month since I've been commissioner, so.
Well, he said there was a motion made.
Well, there's no evidence of it, so I
I
don't.
couldn't find it, right, you said?
I mean, she looked into the minutes and,
Motions are always in the minutes.
yeah.
I never looked, but Jody did look through them. I told Dennis this morning on the phone when he called me that I would look again after the meeting tomorrow and see what happened, so.
Well, that's where I'm standing, it's just, you know, it's one of them things where you run out of dirt, you know, it keeps washing out. And somebody gets hurt, well, I've been on a lot of boards too, and you know what happens. You got insurance, and sometimes insurance don't cover it. You know? Cause there's a lot of juice going through there, well, you would know, right? Working on power line.
Yeah, but I mean, the responsibility of the utility going under the road is not the county's. I mean, whether it's a power line or a water line or anything like that, that's the responsibility of whoever owns it. Which would be Chem or NextEra or South Central Rural Water or anything. I mean, if they have a, I mean, even like when Northern Border or, the gas pipeline,
Oh, yeah.
when they have, erosion over the top of their pipeline, I mean, they go out.
They take care of it.
They do all that. I mean,
That
that's.
could be the reason why they don't know how deep it is, because if it ain't deep enough, they would have to put it deeper. And that's probably why they don't wanna say how deep it is.
Well, either that or they gotta build it up so it's deep enough.
That's what I mean, that's.
Right, but I mean, that- if
If it
somebody-
ain't deep enough, they would have to redo it.
If somebody would hit that, I mean, they have a requirement to be so underneath the road, and if it's not that deep, that's not the county's
No,
responsibility.
it's not the county's responsibility.
Same thing when we built, like if we cut a road down and Chem or anybody has a power line and it's too shallow, Chem has to move it, or, you know, the county doesn't pay to move a water line deeper or anything like that, so.
Honestly,
So I
I
would
would
say-
say just now, I got no part of it, but I think you have to go after the power company next year.
Okay. Well, that's something we have to do, since obviously their work is underneath our road, and we have to make a demand that they fix it.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, I think it's kind of ridiculous if they have a scenario like that where their power lines get exposed by the road, that should be, I mean, they should be wanting to go back and cover up their power line. That doesn't really make any sense that they would want anything to do with it, so, but it kind of does make sense, because it seems like once they got their easements, they pretty much didn't care about anybody else, so that's actually probably par for the course, so.
Maybe Skylar can go out and check it out, see he wants to be in.
Well, I think the big thing about it would be is probably go out there and maybe take some pictures, and maybe it's something that's gotta go to the sheriff's office or the attorney's office. I mean, if they're having erosion over their power line and it's not deep enough underneath our road, then it sounds like they either gotta deepen it or fix the top of the road, so.
You're right there.
Kinda sounds like that's more of an ordinance violation more than anything.
And I think they're the type you gotta push, like you said, what you just said.
Well, like I
Once they got
said,
that easement, it's a free
I
corridor.
mean, I think it's ridiculous that we would have to try and like cover the power line now if that's the case, so I think it'd be in their best interest to make sure that it's deep enough that it can be traveled over the top of, and when it's not, they should be fixing it, so. So yeah, I don't know if that's something you wanna check out, or, you know,
Yeah,
see
we
one of
can.
your guys, or just go take some pictures of it and see what it looks like, and,
Did you get the legal, Scott?
Yeah, and then I'm gonna, before you leave, I'd like you to write your phone number down there, so.
okay.
That way, if I can't find it, or you know exactly where it's at.
Yeah, well, Garth's pretty familiar where it is too, because I had asked him, you know, last time he had been on it or whatever, he said he knew it had been plenty of years,
I
so.
don't mind, just come anytime. Okay, just let me know. So where I stand is call the power company, you're saying?
Well, I'd say, yeah, I mean, you can give them a call, or if not, we're probably gonna have, you know, it's probably gonna come from our state's attorney if we find that there's, you know, an issue with it, because they gotta maintain a certain depth of cover underneath our roads, no matter where on the section lines, that's why they board it.
Yeah.
You know, because we usually don't allow them to plow or dig through our section lines at all either, because,
Did we ever have to construct?
well, if you ever have to dig a ditch, you're right, and that's the reason why you usually have to have like about a 6-foot minimum usually, which most people go deeper than that generally. I mean, with power, it's a little
I've
different.
been on, when I was in Chem Electric, and we had places that washed out, we had to go redo it.
Right.
it was our responsibility.
And typically, I mean, like, power's probably shallower, like when I do water line bores, we're usually 8 to 10 feet, just to make sure we don't freeze, and if they're able to cut them ditches out, we got room, but yeah, I mean, there's been plenty of times where Ken, Beck, everybody's had to move a line, so I would say that'd be the next process. Yeah. Yeah, all right. Thank you. Thanks, Dennis.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Skylar, you can be back up then. He's actually in Logan County.
Is it?
It's right on the county line. Yeah, I think he actually lives in Logan County technically. Cause yeah, that, it's 75.
154.70.
Yeah, not too far south. Cause he's straight east of Jamie Schmitz is this spot, and then I wanna say,
There, I live in the new house to the north.
Do you have your phone number? That's all I really needed to call.
yeah.
Oh, wait, it's wide.
Well, yeah, he'd be in that, like, what they call Kintyre area, but it's south, I think, but that's the, he's, I think he's probably on Island all the time.
Gonna take you out there. So you kinda gotta go by my place, try to get there.
Appreciate it.
Okay. Well, Skylar, you back up.
Well, hello again. Not a whole lot of stuff, I guess, on the miscellaneous agenda. We did do interviews for new employment, or new employees. That's Wednesday, I believe it was. We have two candidates that I'd like to make a job offer to. One of them is a county employee, a current county employee at a different county. So his concern would be if he would be able to transfer his hours of earning to Emmons County. I know we've talked about transferring vacation time, like what they've approved down there. His concern is he doesn't want to start it back at 8 hours because he's worked for a different county for, I think he's got 11 or 12 years. So he's obviously earning more hours per month than 8, so he was wondering, that was one of his things he brought up, and I said that this would have to go to the commissioners. I know we've talked in the past about possibly transferring hours, their vacation hours and stuff like that, so.
Well, it's always been discussed, but I don't think we've ever done it.
There's no policy on it.
Right, I mean, there's, what's the right word? When you're doing like government work to government work, there's kind of been some discretion, because you almost assume that like every county, basically, like you go from county to county, it's like working like state to state, so the theory is that they're all PERS members, you know, and so we haven't had that discussion a lot because we don't generally hire a lot of county to county people, but I know when it came to, I think it was Denise, I want to say that we didn't let her hours transfer, but we let her accrue at what she was accruing, you know, because instead of earning a day a month, she was at the point where she was getting like a day and a half a month or something, you know, because of you're basically giving them like their tenure or their, you know, you don't start them out as like a brand new employee because they've been a county employee at a place for a while, now you're just bringing them into another county, you let them kind of maybe earn some of those things they were earning at, you know, and that's where, there isn't really a policy on it because I think every county does something a little different. It depends on how bad you want the employee and how, you know, and if you're gonna make any kind of concession that way. I don't think bringing the hours on is a good thing because I've never had a job where I've left and gone to another job and they let me keep my hours. I usually had to use them or I got paid out or I lost them.
Yeah, and he's more for his hours that he's accruing.
He just wants to accrue like he's accruing now. He doesn't want to lose that 10, 11 year, you know, and start off at ground zero, which that has been a common issue with the 1 or 2 people we've brought in from like other counties and stuff. And so I don't know if I have a problem with him being able to accrue, you know.
So what county, I mean.
I won't tell you what county he's from.
They haven't asked.
Because if he doesn't accept the job.
He doesn't want to hinder where he's at.
Yeah. But I guess I don't see an issue with letting them earn that extra half a day a month or whatever it's gonna come to, 2 days a month, you know, versus starting over from scratch, just as long as we're not, I don't think we should, cause that'd be like our guys, like we haven't been letting them take vacation because of the weather. And now they go to another county, it's like, holy cow, you're gonna let this guy carry over, X amount of time when that might contradict your current policies or anything, so that's where
Is there any legal recourse for this, Jim?
For starting them out at a different, no, I don't believe so, not that I could imagine.
Well, and I think that's the reason why there's probably not a policy on it, because it's a pretty big gray area, and it kinda, I think, depends on your recruiting abilities, like, if you really want this person, and the only thing holding them up is that instead of earning 0.75 days per month, they earn 1.5 days per month, is it that big of a deal? And that's where, if that's kinda where it's up to us, I mean, if there's no policy, it's kind of a case by case basis.
That's what I was gonna ask, is he a pretty good operator? I mean,
A lot of experience.
has he been working for the same county for that amount of time?
Correct.
So how many people did you have that applied?
7, right?
How many applications did we get?
Yeah.
6. I actually just got one in the mail today, this morning now again, so.
Did you interview everybody or?
No, I narrowed the field down and I interviewed, we were looking for 2 candidates, so I interviewed four people.
Most of the time we try to interview everybody just to give them a chance, even if you don't, but it's up to whatever you wanna do there.
Yeah, to me, if you don't narrow the field down, you're just wasting your
I know,
time and.
but that's what we always just interview everybody that applied.
Common courtesy.
Well, I guess, like I said, we've had this issue before, and I guess I never really had a problem with bringing somebody on with some tenure. The good side of it is you're bringing someone with experience, so if that's the, side. So whatever he's currently earning, which is, do you even know what he's currently, is it kind of fall in line with what we've been doing, or is?
Yeah, I think so, it's like probably 12 hours, they do it different, they do hours versus days.
But it's probably pretty similar.
I would say,
Well,
it falls in line with probably our policy.
Okay, that's just the big thing, not that you're reinventing the wheel for something.
No, I wouldn't, and
If you wanna just transfer it over, like you said, if it's hours to days, maybe just make it days like we do it and make it as
Right,
close
if
as
it's-
possible.
the closest to what ours is,
Right.
that'll just be in the offer letter.
Right, if
Like,
12
this is-
hours lands at like 1.25 days or whatever, it's just as long as it's easy, cause we don't wanna be making up stuff, but I understood it. I think this has happened probably maybe twice since I've been a commissioner, and both times when you're done, you're just like, well, if you're really looking to fill this position, and the only hindrance is this small little accrual thing, which they've already earned at another place, and they're bringing that kind of experience with them to hopefully be a good employee,
These little things.
I don't see an issue, right? As long as they're not trying to bring over 300 hours of vacation with them, that's the only thing that, but generally that stuff gets paid out when you leave a place too, whatever their policy says, and then you either use it or lose the rest, so. I guess I don't have an issue with him accruing when he's been accruing at his previous employers, since it's as long as it's similar to what we're doing.
I don't think so either. If the guy's got that much experience and he's a good operator, that's
Right.
working.
That's what I mean, I think that's just kind of a negotiating part, and that's probably why it's not in the policy book, and, Association of Counties drafted most of that policy book for us, so my assumption is almost no county has a policy on it, because everybody's different, and you don't wanna limit yourself too much of a recruiting tool, as long as you're not just all out destroying your current situation.
So that was one of his balancing points then?
It was just a concern, like, I don't know if that's a make it or break it deal, he just, that was one of the concerns, and then, we could give him that and he could still deny the job. Depends on, I don't know.
You guys and we as commissioners, and I'm just asking a question from what I'm thinking, can we find out, Joe, or are we entitled to know who the applicants all were? So we can see if everybody had a fair shot at it or not. I don't know from a commissioner's standpoint or.
Oh, I don't know. I mean, I don't-
Not that I'm questioning you, Skylar, at all.
Sure, I don't think there's a problem with that, but I guess the question would just be, do we wanna be doing the interviews on all them positions, or do we wanna trust the road superintendent? So I guess in that sense, if he had his applicants and he screened them down the way he thought, unless there's a complaint or something going on, then I guess that would be the only, as far as I'm concerned, if there's 7 applicants and they narrowed it down to 4 or 5 based on the resume, I think every job on the planet does that at some point, where they get as many or more applicants than they need, they screen it down, so they only got to interview
2, 3.
5 instead of 20 or whatever, so.
You still keep all those applicants in file?
Every application we get is on file.
So,
And the reason I don't wanna say it on camera or anything like that is because if they don't accept the job, then you just put a target on their back kind of from their previous employer.
Right,
And so, I don't think that's fair to them, so, I mean, by any means, you guys are more than welcome to, and you have every right, and once these jobs are offered and stuff like that, and if they accept them, then yeah, everybody has to
Okay.
have at it, like,
Yeah.
well, I mean, it's kind of like I've stated before, guys, it's no different than any other department. I think you let them run their department. If you start seeing problems with how they run their department, then you address it. I think screening down from 7 or 8 candidates down to 3 or 4. At this point, as long as you're bringing in operators, and if they're no good, we have a probation period, they don't work out, we send them on their way, and we re-interview from the stack we have, or we relist the job, or however you wanna do it. But I think at this point, my abilities on judging whether or not a guy can run a blade or not are probably not near as good as the crew you had interviewing, so
So what about the other guy? How much experience there? Or-
he's got some equipment experience.
I'm assuming that's why you screened down the applicants mostly, was due to experience and other things you see on their resume that make you decide whether or not you wanna bring them in or not.
That's the screening process, so.
Right, so, okay, well, if you got 2 guys you wanna make an offer to, I guess my opinion, make the offer.
And we're gonna,
And then you would just put them at the rate, what you think they're gonna be at.
right, yeah, and then we're gonna allow him to transfer or his hours of accruing, right? Not his hours that he's got.
No, we're
the way he accrues
we'll
it.
let them accrue at the hours they were accruing at
Gotcha.
the previous job, that I
Okay.
don't have a
So
problem
so
with.
he can't bring his hours over?
No hours over, just accrue it.
No,
Same
just
rate.
to allow him to accrue at the rate he was accruing, so he doesn't have to start over at ground zero again, especially coming over from another county, it's a germane process that probably have a similar benefits package, so a lot of that stuff is, and that's probably a lot of the reason why he's interested in working for another county versus going somewhere, and then, so that's why keeping the accrual hours is a small token to bring them on, so.
So you're looking at just hiring 2 right now then?
Correct, we actually had a guy start, today actually was his first day. He was, we made him a job offer back in, January, February.
Is that when we hired Justin on too?
Correct.
That was the guy that we offered and he kinda took a while and then.
Correct. There was some logistic stuff that needed to be worked out, and he got it worked out.
Okay,
And then-
so he applied again then?
Well, he didn't apply again because we
I mean, you interviewed him, I guess.
we interviewed him and
He kept his
application, kept everything, it just took him a lot longer to accept the job, and that's pretty much the gist of it. So,
Okay.
So is that the second guy you're talking then?
well, we're gonna hire 3, so
Three, okay.
we're gonna hire 2 more yet, so.
Okay.
So hopefully we can get, that way, I mean, we're never gonna be staffed where we should be, probably, because of the
Should
size of
be
the
as
county.
a comparison to what's requested probably, but yeah, so
Right.
if you bring on 3 guys, then we're gonna be at 8 operators,
Yeah, correct.
cause we're at 5.
Let's see, I gotta count now, they're changing hands so many days, let's see, there's,
Well, we got part-time.
Right, I'm talking about we had 5 full-time guys.
Yeah, 5.
We were always, cause I mean, that was a discussion even before, we were always at 7 and we felt we should be at 8, well, we couldn't even get to 7 for a while there, so.
So now we will be at 8.
correct, we will be, from last year, before anybody retired or quit, we will be back up to that number plus 1.
Then you'll have 1 extra blade then.
It's still.
Correct. So we will create a kind of a new blade route, so everybody's route should shrink a little bit, so in order to shrink it, that means faster response time.
Well, that's always been the hope of that.
And that's not meaning that, I want everybody to be clear on this, that's watching or hears it on the street, that does not mean you're gonna get plowed out that day of a storm. I mean, it's still gonna take some time,
But it should be quicker.
it should be
I mean,
quicker,
in
but
theory, it should be.
there's no guarantee on that.
If
Breakdowns and stuff.
this other guy takes the job.
And if these people accept the jobs, and then if not, we'll reopen it and go.
Are you exercising this at all, this contract?
Not yet, I mean, we haven't felt the need, but maybe after this rainstorm, we'll need,
Well, I was just gonna say too, that even while you're training these guys, if it's just taking more time or whatever, I mean, you can still.
it is
do that. I mean,
a tool in our toolbox that we have.
Absolutely, entertain it if you can.
Yeah.
No, I think that'd be good. Well, yeah, if you can bring on 3, that'd be awesome.
Because we got a short window going in this fall.
Oh, absolutely.
She's not gonna snow till Christmas, don't worry about
Yeah.
it, just don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Positive
Just
affirmation.
try to put it positive for you going in.
Power of spoken word here, guys,
Yeah,
come
I
on.
know.
It's gonna be around Christmas, come
Let's
on.
get her done.
So what else you been doing? Been graveling, culverts changing, anything or what?
We're gonna start some culverts now here, probably probably not this week now with the rain and stuff like that, but maybe next week. But there is on these, cement stabilization, there is some work that the county needs to do prior to them coming in. There's like the one by the St. Michael's Church, a big culvert, that we have to actually add a little bit of material over the top, because they go down about a foot. And we don't want them to grind into the culvert, obviously. Then there's a culvert by, Randy's on 64th, I believe it is.
64th and
60, well, it's actually on 19th, but it's right around that
Yeah.
corner. And there's some trees that we wanna take out before that, and raise that small section of that road up a little bit, just before they come in and grind it. So we're gonna, and there's some work there that we've gotta do.
That'll be real good in that spot, because on these wet years, that thing wants to get really soft, and then it's gone under a couple times, so that's.
So we might have to implement this falls, the contract we have with them, because we're gonna need to pull a few people right now, even with the extra help. I mean,
Well,
we're gonna have to,
whatever you have to do.
You have to use it, yeah, for your benefit.
I think the concrete stabilization, I'm pretty excited about that, because the spots you wanna hit are spots that have been a problem.
yeah,
every spring.
hopefully, I mean, the other counties that have used it are very happy with it, it seems like, so, I mean, hopefully we can add in the years coming to different spots, so. We'll see how it goes. I mean, I'm excited to see it work too, and I'm excited to not get the phone calls every spring.
Well, the St.
Or
Michael's
anytime
Church
it
has
gets
been a
wet.
problem.
It's just
We've tried everything at the St. Michael's Church even before I was on, talking to Alex John, they've tried rock, we built it up. That one year when we dug out a spot and we had a bunch of clay, we clayed it, and that worked out great when it was dry, and it's gone awful when it's wet, and we've tried everything, and it seems like it works for a year or 5 years, and then you're right back at it. So if this stabilization and building it up a little bit, that could be huge, that would be very much appreciated.
That's what the professionals tell me, but.
Well, I mean, that's the thing, you're trying something that's supposed to work, rather than just trying what we've been doing, which is just put a Band-Aid to it, and then when the Band-Aid falls off, then we're in trouble again, so. I think it's good to try what we're doing there, so.
So whose responsibility is it to clean trees out?
I was just gonna ask you that, Green, you said you're moving trees.
Well, really, it's the landowner's responsibility to take care of these trees, in any ditch, like, the landowner technically owns to the center of the road, each side, right? We just have access to go through it, right away, so they're responsible for the trees, the mowing, everything like that. Not a lot of them have done it, so now we're to the point, I mean, these have to come out because we're gonna raise it, it's just gonna work to our benefit here.
To get them off.
But there's a lot of trees that are hanging low now, that I know last fall we spent some time and effort hiring a contractor to come clip some trees and get them back a little bit. I mean, there's a landowner out there and you see trees that are starting to cause a problem, feel free to take care of them.
Cut them.
Like, feel free, take care of them, they technically are your.
Do they even have to call in?
No,
Just go cut them.
just cut them and dispose of them properly, like whether that's pulling them.
yeah, don't leave them in the ditch.
Don't cut them and just drop them on their shoulder. Whether they pull them onto their own property or find someone else that's got a tree pile or whatever, dispose of them properly, do not just drop them. If they find the need to, like, they're gonna chip them or grind the stumps, then that you can just grind and throw back into the ditch, cause that'll just decompose versus the giant tree trunk. So, yeah, no, I would.
How do they get them out? There's some big ones.
Excavators.
Or cut them
up, yeah.
Cut them up and then grind the stumps.
Yeah.
Like that's, for the really big ones, that's probably what I do, because I will say this, if the landowners decide to take them out, please locate it, because there's so much stuff buried in the ditches that,
Oh, yeah.
for your safety, just have the ditch located, because that's what I would do anyway. Like everything we do, we locate, and that's what's time consuming too, to do a culvert. It might need, you might tell me today, but it takes 72 hours to locate it, that's if I locate it right away, so.
The last quoted number I got to fix a fiber by Ken was $600 an hour per man, and they generally have, 4 people there, and they fix a fiber, so.
Right.
Figure
Okay.
2,400 an hour, I mean, that's what, I mean, by the time they get all their equipment and they patch that fiber, it takes 2-3 days, I know. It's a pretty,
And we were in the wrong business.
no, that's not a very easy business either, but,
Oh, I know,
well, you gotta think about it as lost production and all that. into that.
Oh,
So that's what I
absolutely.
mean, a one call generally costs anywhere from $5 to $20, I think the rate right now is somewhere around like 10 to 15 bucks usually. And municipalities, I don't even know if they bill you, but,
I think $1.50.
yeah, it's dirt cheap. right?
Dirt
When you-
cheap.
Especially when you consider it against hitting the power line, well, Gary worked for Ken, you know, you don't wanna be hitting the power lines neither, so.
Just, yeah, but an individual calling does cost them a dime.
Not if it's on the landowner. Not if
Like, I get
they're-
billed because I'm a business.
Yeah, we get business and we get, yeah. No, it's free for individuals.
I pay for your location.
I know you do, that's
That's,
good.
that's right.
But I get it back.
You're welcome.
I get it
You're
back.
welcome.
So, no, trees.
No, but whatever, I heard it. Yep.
That's their
One thing that did come up, so the 3rd Avenue between 82nd and 84th, which is that cut across road,
82nd.
it's the one that goes right by Jerome and Rita Mossett's place, and then it comes out basically, so.
That swamp.
Right, and what they were wondering is if we would consider grade raising that piece that always ends up going underwater. And I mean, I shouldn't say they, like they want it for themselves, but that is a major cut across road for that area. A ton of people, like the mail, the school bus, and a lot of landowners use it, especially to like get to Strasburg, because that's the boxcar road, so that goes
Yep.
all the way down to the other federal aid road. Well, that's down in your neighborhood then, I mean, that's, when it's underwater, a lot of people really gotta redirect onto that. I don't think it's an immediate demand, I don't think they're storming the doors or nothing, but on a drier fall, a drier scenario where, I mean, I know Francis did wanna raise that too, cause of when we did the boxcar road there. You know, that was another one that, it was still underwater at that point, we thought, well, we'll wait, and so.
Yeah, we can
I
look
mean, even
into
if,
it.
I'm not saying it's gotta get done next week or nothing, but I think you should look at it if it's something to consider. It's a pretty valuable piece of road there, cause that cut across saves many, many miles. Well, if garbage man would know, I mean, that's,
Is that Lake Herman Lake there?
well, it's way east of that, it's only, you know where Justin Mossett's new house is? It's right to the west of there. That intersection of 3rd and 84th, and then you go north, and then there's 500 feet. Right, but that last 500 feet before the intersection is the piece that went underwater a couple years ago, and it's come out, and then it goes under, and then even when it's out, it's pretty soft. You can use it for
It's a
small
sponge.
vehicles,
Yeah,
But
I
it's-
don't even know, I think there's very limited ditches actually.
but it's not gonna be easy either, but it's just something to probably put on that like long-term goal, or if we're doing work in that area of some kind, if we can maybe, cause it's a pretty important cut across that, you know, and I know it's come out a few different times, and there's probably been some times to do it, but we were busy with everything else, but especially,
It's your friend if it's dry.
yeah, it's huge, it saves you probably 5 to 10 miles for some of the people, so it's a
Every
huge.
road's our friend if it's dry.
But that is
And then it's too dry, then you
it's
can't do.
Yeah.
it's a pretty heavily used cut across, I mean, that's definitely, so.
Yep, we'll look into it, yeah.
I think it's something, if you can find it where it's feasible time-wise and everything, it'd be worth the time to probably, I mean, I don't know what the right, you know, I mean, a guy would maybe have to do some shooting around there, and you don't wanna just raise a foot and then it goes under again.
Right.
But a foot might be all it needs too, it might not need it, well, a foot's kind of a hard lift, you might have to do 2 or 3, but.
If it's blocked, so.
Right, and I
yeah.
know there is some rock there and it's kind of riprap, so it's probably been raised before, but it's one of them roads that when it's dry, people use it, so.
Okay. I got an out-of-state travel request. It'll be in October. It's to the local road conference down there, so.
Which state?
South Dakota, oh, sorry.
Oh, so you
Just-
travel, yeah, out of state.
Yeah, just down to
You're
the,
staying in Dakota territory, though, so.
Just make sure your phone is available.
huh?
Just make sure your cell phone is available.
24/7,
Oh, yeah.
just in case the commission has to get a hold of you.
It's, I think cell phone service gets body.
Yeah. In the bar, you
Just when you're sitting in the
the whole
bar,
reflection in the bar tends to get a little scary, so, yeah.
we need to discuss that.
I don't have any problem. Yes, okay, so part of the thing we did at the agenda, did you ever really come up with something as far as private drive maintenance? I know you were kind of looking into Burley County and some other neighboring counties at some ideas or some policies.
We talked about it last week, you and I. Yeah.
No, I mean, I shouldn't say no. My answer to these private drives is we should not do them. Like, no, not a lot of other counties do them. There's some.
Almost
some-
none, really.
Almost
yeah,
none.
Almost none of them do it. Some of them bill their time to it.
Don't even.
I don't even like that idea. I get it that it's tough to take a service away that's been provided for many years. But it's a service that should have never been offered in, to begin with. I mean, I get it, it's a small knit community and it's your neighbors and your friends and everything like that. Sometimes it's really tough to say no to these people, but no has to be our answer to these questions of, are we gonna maintain it? No. Is it, well, I can't get out of my driveway? Sorry. It's not the county's responsibility to get you to work. Once you hit the county road or a road that the county maintains, yes, then it's our responsibility, but nobody shovels my driveway for me to get to work. Nor does they come out and shovel anybody else's driveway. The city people all have to shovel their driveways to get to work. It's essentially what you're doing, is shoveling their driveway, just with a giant piece of equipment. So
Well,
I say no.
I think a big difference too, or something to just realize is like last winter, when you're in a snow emergency, I think that can kind of change. Like we declared a snow emergency, we had some scenarios where there was some pretty serious, possibly life or death things. Some of them maybe weren't as bad as they say, but I mean, that's one thing if you're gonna go in and open it up during a snow emergency, a major snow event or something like that. But I think when you're in a declared emergency, it's one thing. Especially when we're not in a declared emergency, I don't think it should be expected at all to be going off, especially off the county right of way, for sure. I mean, even with the county right of way, I mean, depending on what they're asking for, I mean, some of that is discretionary stuff, but I think the private drive thing, especially when there's no county right of way. Like some of these places where the road just goes off the county right of way and goes up to their house or something, that's, cause I mean, now, I mean, you know, you just run into issues where there isn't even ditches, or it becomes harder to even move snow in some of them roads versus one that's actually built to like a county spec, so.
Right, and there's some roads out there that just pretty much end right at the county's, what we maintain, and it's easier just to turn around in their yard. Not that we plow their yard, it's just, you just plow enough room to get in and turn around and come out. It's safer for us, it's easier for us and stuff like that. So some people are just gonna benefit from that. Like, that's just where they built their house.
Just the way it is.
That's just,
Well,
yeah.
but I think that's one thing, especially when people ask why we're getting so tough on this private driveway stuff, there's been some scenarios where we've damaged property.
You damage property, people, one farmyard will be super clean and there won't be anything, then the next guy's got stuff laying around, you can't see it underneath that snow.
Right.
You hit it, now they're mad at you for hitting it, well, you didn't know it was there, or they're not properly, there's no ditches, or they built the road at like a giant pyramid, and then you fall off and get stuck. And you're in I was in one for probably a half hour, 45 minutes trying to wiggle my way out. That's 45 minutes that we weren't doing
Could
anything.
have been on the main road.
If, yeah, you know, if we're in agreement not to do private drives, we should put it in the paper.
Well, I think we need to just come up with some kind of.
Gotta be a motion.
There's gotta
Just
be, I
saying,
mean,
so people know.
Give them public notice like cutting the ditches.
I mean, they should know, that school buses should know too, the school should know too. that-
Well, and the
That's
big-
why you give notice.
the big thing that you have to describe or you have to define though is a school bus route doesn't constitute snow removal all the way to the front door of the house.
No.
You know, like that's one of the issues we were having with some of this was that, well, it's a bus route. Well, it is a bus route, but I mean, the county's obligation is to the right of way. I mean, that's where, if we have a design road built on our right of way and we are maintaining that road, we're all in agreement that that's a commonly maintained road, that's one thing. Versus another road where one commissioner thinks it should have got done, another commissioner said 20 years ago that it's gonna get bladed, don't worry about it. Their kids don't go to school no more, you know, there's all this different stuff, that's why you do have to have kind of almost like a black and white policy, you just can't really violate it, unless it's an emergency scenario, something where you make a decision, but.
Main roads open, into yards, no. But there's still bus routes going by, they bring the kids out to the main road with a vehicle or with a tractor. We pick them up or the bus picks them up, but you open the roads, right? Is that right or wrong?
That's the way I'd like to see it happen, like these bus routes, like you said, if they live off the main roadways.
They gotta bring them out.
What I'm saying, you know, we gotta be in agreement on the thing, because we can't have one commissioner telling people
Right.
in there, and, you know,
No.
everybody can be in the same agreement, so everybody knows what's going on, and the people know it.
I will not micromanage my area. That you're gonna go in with the blades, no way. That's your discretion.
Right, the only reason I even bring up,
Together.
the only reason I bring up anything different is you get a scenario where you got a sheriff calling or something like that, you know,
So-
that's like an emergency type scenario. I do wanna leave some discretion, I mean,
That is different, if they have an emergency in this, where the sheriff, fire, ambulance, anybody like that, and they need to get there, then yes, we will open the road up, like, but that has to go through the sheriff, you can't just say, I have a doctor's appointment tomorrow, that doesn't classify as an emergency, like,
Right,
you
well,
have to be calling 911
exactly.
for us to come in.
that clarification is that I want that decision to be still be able to made, like the road superintendent, you know, because one thing that we have is everybody likes to call their favorite commissioner and then their favorite commissioner, and I'm not criticizing them, but I'm just saying, there's people that call me that won't call Dan, they don't know him, or they don't like him, whatever, people call Donnie that don't like me, and then he's like, what's the deal with this guy? Well, you know, and then the decision should be a combination of like the road superintendent and the sheriff, and that like, the sheriff is kind of the focal point of the emergency calls, you're the guy running the road routes, you guys come together, you know what, that needs to get done, we did it, and then.
And don't throw one another.
Right, and it's not that I'm trying to alleviate decisions from the commissioners, but the fact is it's not fair that Gary thinks the road shouldn't get opened, and I'm telling you to open it, and I got two commissioners deciding what an emergency is, and really, we need to be making decisions in this room. Outside of that, a lot of those decisions really do need to be, we need to be empowering you with that policy to go, and if you're not the guy making those decisions, we need to decide who it is, whether it's one of the commissioners, whatever, whether you decide the chairman's gonna do it, whether you decide it's gonna be the road superintendent, the sheriff, and that needs to be a part of the policy, so it's like, I don't
It's in stone.
well, Commissioner Materi thought that road shouldn't be open, and now you're saying it should be, well, now you got a mess. Now you're in the meetings going, well, I mean, if you're gonna create a policy, there needs to be a funneling to like who's making those key outside of the policy decisions and why it was made, well, it was an emergency, it had to happen, so. That's what, I mean, I guess I feel like that's how it should be, I don't know if that's.
No, that's how
I place it like it's oh, it's on you, but at the same time, I feel like you, and like I said, if you're gonna combine it with the sheriff, 9 times out of 10, if it's a common sense decision, it's kind of no different than what we would have told you.
Right.
But it should be done now pretty soon, so the schools.
Absolutely.
So they can prepare it.
It should.
It's no different than cutting the ditch, be like, that's like,
I would just, as of right now, like, if anybody calls you, we're not going in private drives.
I know, but we got to make it clear.
Absolutely.
And it should be in the paper and everything, so people know.
I know that it always comes down to one issue, and that issue is just what is a private drive? What's the definition of a private drive? Because I'll tell you, there's a couple examples where the road got built in a mile into someone's house. It's on the section line, it's Scotty Miller. Scotty Miller's a perfect example. Is that a private drive or is that county section? We kind of came to the agreement that that's county section line.
but not.
That's not a private drive. Right now, if you turn around his yard, because once you get past Scotty's, the road's horrible. Right, that's what you do. Right, so like that might be a scenario where, okay, you pull into his driveway because it's 20 feet wide, you have like it's in that section line. Those decisions are up to your operators, but in my mind, if you're gonna come up with this process, the description in my mind should be anything that's not county right. If it's on the county right away, then I think especially if it's, and I don't wanna use it like all the section lines and the prairie trails are county right away too, that's not, we're talking like certified road, county right away. Like,
Anything that we maintain there.
basically, if you blade in the summer, you should move it in the winter, or most of it. There's some roads we might abandon through the year, especially we might say no winter maintenance.
Yeah, there are a lot of them.
But we need to come up with a policy for that too, and then it's described.
Because there is no, actually, State Attorney Johnson and I have discussed this a few months ago. There's no really great definition of a private drive, but there, that's what we were kind of, you want off of?
Yeah, I mean, it's tough because there's so many handshake deals, like you say, over the years, that, I mean, every road is gonna be a little bit different.
Well,
I see the show place crossed on the section. I don't know my point, but that's just a trail.
Yeah, I would assume that's a private driveway, you know? They have in the past come down there every once in a while, but pretty low on the list.
Well, and I think that's the other conversation to be had too, is
Just
that
use you for a scenario.
if the county's blading that road, you should be doing snow removal. And I think the snow removal is dependent on the situations. I mean, if you're,
So how do
it
you,
might take 5 days to go.
how do you do, put Bobby Bum in there?
Well, Bob's not
halfway
getting,
in, they said it's halfway in.
We don't do service
we
there.
don't blade it all, so we're not doing snow
Okay,
removal.
but I mean,
That was all part of the agreement that we had signed.
okay, but if it wasn't part of the agreement, how would you do that? You would have to drive.
Because when you say it's a section line.
That's what I mean, if you're
gotta
gonna,
turn around.
we shouldn't be blading anything that's not county, like certified road and county right of way. So if you're, well, that's what I'm saying, you
Just
have to
like we
define
said,
something though,
middle,
you have to define it. And if you're going to define it as we're gonna gravel it, we're gonna blade it, then you really should do snow removal on it. Now,
Because I think.
there's exceptions to the fact too, like you're not gonna go out on the first day of the storm and get out to God knows where, you're gonna try and that's another thing that probably needs to get done before winter too, is like what we were talking about, it's kind of a priority list, if you call it that, like these are your schedule 1 roads, or these are your day 1 roads, these are your day 2 roads, these are your day 3 roads. That does not mean you'll be there day 3, but the expectation is you are not first on the list, and if your road is in blue, or something, you might be holed up for a couple days, and road number 1 is in red, that's your emergency routes, your federal aid, your school bus, immediate, whatever you want to call it, your emergency snow bus route, whatever you call it, but.
There's a lot of roads during the winter that I see, that I travel during the summer when I farmed, that wouldn't have to be maintained. To cut that load off you as a road department.
Right, we
And a
did
lot of
shut down a
people-
lot of them, but then a lot of them, the mail road, and then they get mad because they have to go an extra 3 miles around, so they're not a very, that's the problem with the obstacle of these small rural counties is now there's not as many people living, but still people use that road. Might be 1 or 2 people every week, once a week they might use it, but humans are creatures of habit. That's the way they go, that's the way they want.
It's the first guy on the road after you played it, guy cuts that back, it's like sheep.
Right.
They all follow that contract.
So it is very tough to, I mean, it'll even be tough to make that priority road. Like our federal aid roads are always renowned.
My point is this, you're never gonna hash out the perfect winter plan
Right.
in meeting, but you start with something, and next spring you go, wow, that was awful, we're not doing that again, or hey, that worked pretty good, now can we build off of it? And I think that's what you just start to do. Whatever you do is gonna be better than what we have, because we don't have a policy, everybody's upsetting. They're either not getting their services in time, they aren't getting them at all, they don't know why. And we're trying to, come up with this metaphorical moral policy here at these tables to go, yes, no, or maybe, and I think we need to just start crafting something. It doesn't have to be perfect, but it's gotta be something, and then there, you modify it. In 5 to 10 years, you have a snow policy that works for most. It'll never work for all, but I think that's kind of where you need to start, is just like, in your mind, how do you think a good winter would go, and bring that forward, and hash it out with you, and if we're gonna close some roads, let's mark some roads that we know, everybody's like, yeah, he drives that way. You go and open them when you're all caught up, you have a month where it's like, man, we are all caught up, we could maybe go bust that one open, because in the spring, it's a nightmare too, so you do wanna try and open all of them.
In the spring before the.
Right, but you don't wanna be struggling on.
Sometimes it's
14, right.
Snow gets really hard.
Oh,
Yeah.
well, that's why you don't wanna leave them too long, but in a winter like we had last year, I mean, you don't wanna be out getting stuck on some road that's a cut across when people could just tough it out and drive the extra 4 miles. In the dead of winter, I think that's a problem,
See, you have the mail, did they issue that?
Yeah, they issued me one last year, late, I mean, I think it was after the first of the year, I think they got it issued.
See, it gets tough like my place, I just say, keep the mail in town,
Right.
no big deal. And abandon it, and then like the road going north of me.
But sometimes some of these mail routes too, if they have to go a different route, they get compensated for it. They have to switch their route.
I don't,
That I'm not,
Well, all I'm considering is that I think as far as the definition of the roads we should be maintaining, the 2 big things would be, it's like certified gravel road that we normally maintain in the summer, and it's on public right of way. Those 2 things should just eliminate a lot of these private driveway issues that we've been having. Emergencies are up to the discretion of the road superintendent and the sheriff, and I think come up with a loose-based routing system of how you would like to see your day go the day after a storm. Like, where do your guys go, I need to get here, I just know I need to get here, and after that, then these guys can usually wait. This guy usually blows himself open, so I mean, not saying you always wanna make them people wait, but let's just use Lytton for an example. A couple exterior roads are getting school buses in and out of Lytton are the ones that are probably Al's priority, and you get up by Hazelton, Justin, or like around Braddock, Gar knows, I gotta get this road open because the field truck, mail truck, and school buses all use this road. So then you know that that's your day one road, and once that's done, you branch off of that. It's not gonna be perfect, but I think come up with something from your guys' opinion, and we can hash it out together too, and I think we gotta just try and iron some things out.
Iron it out, but we gotta get something in place, so we don't get the same scenario as last year.
We're gonna have a brown Christmas anyway, so I mean, we don't have to get like,
You heard it here first, people.
Power of the spoken word, I keep saying, that's.
I say October.
But yeah, no, I would say, we need to get something together soon, and I agree with Larry. I mean, people are watching these meetings, so some of them will get it, but
Yep,
I think we need to probably have a clarification like we do with the weed mowing, that if your road's not public right away and it's not normally bladed, or, you know, if it's basically like minimum maintenance stuff, you're probably not gonna get snow removal, so.
prepare to open it.
Right, and I think folks need to be preparing for themselves
Yeah.
too, so.
Okay, other than that, I don't think, there's not a lot else that I have, do you?
Good luck.
Yeah, I'd like to bring up the ditch mowing.
Yeah,
Some of these gravel roads, they have a bridge of gravel along the side. And it's really tough to get that cut.
right.
And I don't see how you can charge somebody when they can't mow it. If that was moved over, sure, they could get that in a timely manner, but that ridge is there, you just can't do it.
We're working on moving and getting rid of them now. I mean,
Oh, you just got-
it got out of hand this year because we were short-handed. I mean, the weeds grow. I mean, it rained, now it rained again and the weeds, you know, there's still a lot of moisture in those weeds. Usually they start drying out.
I tried to hear some.
Yeah,
That's tough, unless it be hydraulic carry, you can adjust it.
There'll be some late ditch mowing this year.
yeah, it's very,
I
very,
mean, we hit our ditch for the second time already, it's still green, I mean, but I know one thing that is a problem too, though, kind of coinciding with that, is there are some people that are mowing their ditches the day of the deadline,
Yeah.
and it's not getting touched. I've been on some roads where there's 6 foot tall wild sunflowers and 3-4 foot kosher on them, and
Then it drops on.
I mean, and it's bad, and what do you do with it? I mean, the guy goes and tries to blade towards the edge, and you touch the stuff, and it seems to wad up on you. I mean, even raking the ditch, I get these giant weed balls that come with your hay. I mean, I can't imagine what the grader's doing too, so I agree with what you're saying too, but at the same time, a big issue with a lot of this is a lot of these ditches are, and then when they do mow on the day of the deadline, it's a sickle mower, and they're just laying it over right on the road shoulder. I mean, that's, I don't know what the policy or how to fix that, but I tell you, like, that's a big problem in the areas where I see the biggest windrows, or a lot of them are the wind. I'm not gonna say that there aren't spots where the guys don't maybe have a little too much and it could be better, but I do see a big problem with some of these areas where the ditches are not getting mowed until the end of September, and I don't know how you're supposed to keep the weeds out of the gravel and stuff when they're getting that bad too. That's kind of an issue, because it seems like everywhere where the ditches are mowed on both sides, there's almost no windrow, or there's very minimal windrow. I mean, you go on some of these main roads that are getting mowed, I don't see an issue with it at all. Then all of a sudden you come up on a half mile, 3/4 mile, and this one guy hasn't mowed yet, and it's like, there's just root balls and grass and everything in it. I mean,
It's tough, you can mow it, I mowed my mile.
yeah,
It was tough, because it'll hold up in that blade,
yeah,
and all of a sudden, boom, it scours out,
right.
and you just, holy crap, you know, you got it from here to the corner. There's a lot of
and I mean,
grass.
I get your point, it is rough to mow, cause you wanna mow someone from the road top.
It's almost impossible to mow with a windrow, because you got a tire on it, now you're cutting this high, then you get down on it, and yeah, I agree.
You do that so the weeds dry out, so that you're not spreading it on your road, but, I mean, it has been an issue, and like, hopefully with these new people that we hire, that we can get to it faster and try to maintain the weeds a little bit better, and we're gonna probably have to come up with a spray in some of them, because people just aren't taking care of their stuff.
Yeah.
Like, we might have to start spraying some of it, because
We
it's,
talked about that one time before, the guy could mount a sprayer in front of a blade and spray that.
That's a liability though, boy, what you're doing.
I know, I
And
mean,
it
it's,
drifts into someone's.
Honestly, the best
I
thing,
wouldn't do it.
I mean, the best thing, which is the worst thing, would be to go out and mow some of these ditches.
right, which we would've, but we don't, the county does not own a tractor, so I think
Right, I mean, but
to this day now, I believe it's supposed to be in. I mean, we not to keep blaming COVID, but COVID really messed a lot of things up in the world. Like, county used to get tractors.
We used to have by August.
Workforce,
Yeah.
everything, they screwed it up.
Right, and now production was late on it, so now, we're gonna have to rent this one, and it's just, it is.
You got one coming?
Should be here, they told me at the end of the month, as of, we in September, so it would have been the end of August, so I haven't talked to him. Yeah.
Close, yeah.
Right, it is very close.
Yeah.
What is that, what is the mowing date, 15th of September or October?
No, October 1st.
October 1st. But I'm not gonna wait, if there's, obviously we take care of all the federal aid roads. So we're-
Right, it's gotta take her some time anyway at that point, so.
But other than that, like, people need to start taking care of them. Like, kind of goes back to, it's their property, it's their responsibility, they just,
You see it in South Dakota, traveling back over the weekend. The state was spraying the ditches over the holiday weekend. With trucks, spraying in the ditches from the roadbed.
yeah.
But you know, there's no concern anymore right now of drifting and hurting these crops because it's over with.
Yeah.
But during the summer, I wouldn't want to spray you as a county,
Right,
spraying these ditches, and there's sunflower fields and bean fields next to you, spraying with Banville or 2,4-D ester. That'll volatilize and drift.
well, just spraying with water so they grow more.
Yeah, good idea.
But no, I see your point, and we're gonna try to start eliminating them as quick as possible. We technically still have a month to get rid of them before they have to be mowed, but, a lot of them, the guys are working on getting rid of them, and 'cause that's, one of them, we need to get rid of them for winter time anyway, we can't have that. Windrow.
Yeah, right.
I ran on the whole no windrow policy, but sometimes you just have to have the
I
nature.
don't think you've eliminated a majority of them though. I've heard a lot of windrows and it looks like a lot of you guys are actually kind of pushing it to the center line, which I know it adds some wobbliness to the center line, but at least it's on the road and not rushing off the edge or getting blasted off the edge. I think that's a far better, if you're gonna lose extra gravel, I would have it in the center of the road rather than on the edge. It makes it easier for mowing too. I know like going by my place, there's no windrow, I can cut. I got it pretty much all the way to the edge. Of course, it's been growing back 2 weeks later, but right after it's hay, it looks real nice.
Do you have the gravel trucks full? Constant?
They're still going, obviously not today, but they're still moving gravel. They've moved a lot of gravel this year alone, just the 2 county trucks have moved a lot of gravel this year.
And you talked about possibly bringing some more in
Well, no, we won't now
with this other.
this stuff.
Okay.
Well, I think
Wow.
that cement stabilization,
Yeah.
I think that'd be a huge,
Yeah.
and then you'll be using the gravel trucks to probably finish those projects too. So.
Our gravel trucks, yeah, hopefully we can get it done.
Well, that's good though, because the people I talked to that I told them we were working on it, were pretty happy. Especially down in St. Michael's area and stuff, they're gonna be.
Yeah, and that's kind of what happens, is they call in and then you listen to their concern or whatever, and then they don't hear anything from me, but it takes a while this is a couple months in the works in the making, so I didn't hear about it, so I'm glad that they're excited.
Did you
Hopefully we get it fixed.
end dump truck going?
Sorry, what's that?
The truck you're going to end dump?
Yep, it's up and running. We usually go shop a little bit here and there, so.
What do we have to do?
There was a couple of rear ends leaks, like it was leaking out of the rear end, so it was a seal. And then due to the rust, they had to cut a U-joint holder off, so. Actually, it didn't turn out as bad as I thought it was going to.
So it wasn't internal?
They did, one internal thing, and then, since they were in there, then they went out to the bearings on the outside, just to double check them. It was
A
weird.
big dollar amount?
Huh?
A big dollar amount to upgrade?
Less than 10,000.
For a heavy truck, that's.
Yeah, for the work that they did, I thought it was pretty decent. Like, I was really fearing a lot worse. Like, I was pleasantly surprised. Not that you want to spend any money on it, but it's the nature of the beast when you buy used things.
Well, if you don't wanna have equipment repairs, don't own equipment, that's what I
Okay,
If you don't use it, you don't use it.
Well, other than that,
And then just be aware that we will be bidding out 2 blades next month. We're gonna bring them to the commission next month, because it'll be the 2 that we extended warranty on. We talked about it, that we were gonna do it in October, so latest no windows.
Sounds good.
Okay, other than that, I don't have anything else for you. Oh, I guess I do actually. I know we're doing, this is the last meeting to talk about the budget, correct? Or,
Yeah.
You're gonna have to start making-
Next month is the public hearing, and then we'll probably finalize the budget after that.
right, so if they're having a problem with the road department, we'd be open to having it sent back to us and figuring out where we can cut, if you would like us to do that. So,
Rather than letting us cut out of it.
well, I mean, we might not cut where you want or whatever, but if we can help out, like seeing where we can
Cut that out.
cut that off of it, because I think we're probably having a problem meeting it, but.
Well,
I mean,
think it's
and
just
that would
like
just be our recommendation.
You know, a lot of the time, you know, like last year, we generally went into things like purchasing and stuff, so I guess a good thing would just be to describe exactly what you want purchased, you know, because I don't wanna cut out too much with something we agreed we maybe wanted to purchase or something like that.
Right, so we'll just, that, why the purchase, the new equipment purchase is because we decided to buy that speed plow, remember from the.
Right, well, those are the things that just, it's good to remind us that that's where some of them things went to, not that we go and cut out and we're like, oh shoot, we wanted that yet, and we decided that, so I mean.
Oh, that's like with culverts or tires or any of that stuff, right? I mean,
Right, well, I mean, some of those things, you end up having to take a little bit out of everything just to kind of make the budget work, so.
Right, so
Try not to
Sure,
take
you're
too
gonna
much
work
on
on
that thing.
if you tell us what we're over, I mean, we can definitely go back and work at it and present a different budget or help. Our recommendation is nothing you have to follow on that, it'd just be like.
Well, I think
our best bet would be cut from here instead of
it would be
there.
nice for you guys to maybe have a priority list linked to that budget, so at least we
Yeah.
know what it is we're looking at, because if it's something where it's like,
Take.
well, I think we can get by another year versus, you know, that's the kind of stuff, like what you really need or really think needs to get done versus, yeah, it'd be nice, but we could probably live without it kind of deal, because I know the preliminary budget's kind of like, throw it all in there and see what it looks like, so I think that'd be a big thing, was just to kind of list what you guys think are things you really want to get done, you know, right?
So, I mean, you obviously have an idea where we're at, right, more or less with what it is, like, could you send it out to us and let us look at it? And, I mean, help, I mean, like I said, it's just gonna be a recommendation, obviously, you
Well,
guys
I
have the
think
final say, so.
this commission has made a point that we wanna improve the road department, I think, you know, we wanna make sure that if, you know, we're budgeting for things that we want to get done or want things to happen, you know, I mean, even when it comes to maybe even road projects or something, like put down on there, like, the reason this budget is this is our plan was to X, Y, and Z these things, and it's like, well, those are things we really wanna get done, maybe we leave that budget alone, we key in more on a different part of the budget where you guys just have a general number in or something, and we can, you know, try and make things work, because, you know, there's definitely things we still wanna be getting done, I mean, we wanna have a budget that works for everybody, but we also know that we have to do certain things that they're gonna require probably spending more than some people are comfortable with, and we need to make sure that we're pinpointing those things and budgeting accordingly to the things we wanna get done.
Okay, so for me.
Okay, thanks, Skylar.
Yep, thank you.
And can I have my
Oh, folders.
folders back just to,
Save the county money so we don't have to buy more folders, I like it, I like the thinking.
Very cool.
There you go. Well, guys, I wanna work through lunch, so anything we really got left is the miscellaneous issues and then the utility permits, I think so, I think let's just keep going and we'll be done.
once again, like, I did not look at those Cam Electric one again, so.
Okay.
They just showed up today.
Well, you got the descriptions, they usually line on there. Does it say if they're boring or what?
Yeah, they're boring them all, so.
Oh.
And I have yet to run into an issue.
Well, and Kim and South Central know our.
Can we approve them based on his?
Well, I think that's what we probably do, is just contingent on having you look at it, or if something you don't like, you don't have to sign it.
Okay.
Okay.
We can.
Yeah, I think that way we can move
Thanks,
forward. Skylar looks at them, has no problem with them. Excellent contribution, Commissioner. So the next would be the building permits, probably, that too. You got it there, John? Okay. You got the utility permits on top or building?
No, I've got it.
Okay. Let's just do the utility permit right over there.
For you?
Yep, should be one for South Central Water and two for Emmons Electric.
I'm making a motion to approve all three of them.
Commissioner Holm makes a motion to approve all three utility permits contingent on inspection from the road superintendent. Seconded by Commissioner Materi. Is there any more discussion? Not hearing any. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Permit's approved. Yeah, so Skylar will, yeah, because Skylar's got to sign off on anyway. He can look at them, inspect them. If he's cool, then if we meet all our guidelines, he can sign off on it. We're good to go. Next is a building permit for T-Mobile to add 6 antennas, 6 RRUS, and 2 HCS 2.0 hybrid COVPs at the 285 CL to the existing tower on the northeast border and northwest border.
Someone outside probably.
Township 131, 76, section 25.
Vanilla shot there.
I'll make a motion to accept it.
Motion by Commissioner Materi to accept the building permit for T-Mobile. Second by Commissioner Everly. Is there any more discussion? I believe they are just adding antennas to adding receivers to a current antenna. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? And approved. Next is a building permit for Brady Weber to erect a 40 by 50 garage with living space on lot land 2, Rice Lake, second subdivision, section 4, township 129, range 75. Yeah, that's on the south side. It's the first lot right when you turn in.
So that's so good.
At least next to Bosch.
The very first one coming in.
It's actually a lot and a half or 2 lots.
It's 2 lots,
Combined,
one lot.
yeah, so.
I'll make a motion to approve it.
Commissioner Everly makes a motion to approve the building permit for Brady Weber. Is there a second? Seconded by Commissioner Materi. Is there any more discussion on the building permit for Brady Weber? Rice Lake? Not hearing any. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Permit approved. Next is a building permit for Jordan Anderson to erect a 30 by 70 residence with an attached 32 by 45 garage in southeast quarter of section 19, township 132, range 76. Where's that at?
Yeah, that's, what's her name? Holzer, Terry and Kate Holzer in the middle. The old yard, the tree south of W. So it's gonna be in the middle of those trees.
So that's right out of town?
Yeah, south of
Yeah,
town.
it's just south of town. Just south
So
of
they
town.
will live close.
There's a vacant farm in there.
I'm assuming Jordan Anderson must be like a contractor.
Yeah,
Jordan
that's,
Anderson with Big River Builders.
Yep, he's the contractor.
Okay, so that's who's applying for
Yeah,
it.
that's what I was confused when I first
Yeah,
saw that.
permit is for property of Terry and Kate Holzer's right there when you turn to go to the airport.
Yeah. They're putting it up there in the trees.
Oh, they're putting it there with Buffalo or?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
There.
Road's a private driveway, right?
That's a private road.
Yeah, well,
He's gotta be.
is there a motion to, Commissioner Holm makes a motion to approve the building permit for Jordan Anderson doing business as Big River Builders.
Hey, let them know first.
Is there a second by Commissioner Materi? Is there any more discussion on the building permit for Terry and Kate Holzer and Jordan Anderson, Big River Builders? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Permit approved. Next is a building permit for Doug Van Erden to erect a 30 by 40 storage building on lot 28, Glenwood Acres, section 27, township 132, range 79.
Oh, that, Glenwood, so
south of Beaver Bay.
West of John Richter's out there.
Oh, okay.
That'd be out there by, Jack Doctor's place.
South.
Glenwood Acres at the bottom of that hill.
Yeah,
where
yeah.
Jack Doctor, remember?
Yeah,
That's,
Jack Doctor.
that's that recently platted piece, I suppose, right?
Just to,
No, this there's no pole.
that's east of Jack and then north, right?
Nope. And then development of John's. Yeah.
John's.
He's down here.
Yeah.
All and everything.
Okay, it's right along the river.
Yeah, so you turn south at, where Jack's is at, then you go south and west.
Right.
You just keep following it south.
Okay.
It's probably a place down to the south, quite small.
Setbacks are all good and everything, but
So one of them was a foot short, but he owns a lot next to it, so.
Pasture just to the east of you.
South halfway through the section, if they go back down there.
Ours is 15 feet from sideline, but he owns this lot here too.
he might not own it forever.
But we approved it before based on if they're.
Yeah, I guess you don't need it, I guess you don't need a variance
We don't
since he
need a
owns the
variance.
property next to it, so.
He owns it, so.
That's true.
So that's what I told him, he said, oh, I can maybe move it, so I'm like, oh, just leave it as it is for now.
So can you sell that other lot then? Or what?
So then you can argue too that the surrounding buildings are less than 15, and that's an ordinance that surrounding buildings are less than 15.
Oh,
And all of
that's
them
right.
are, there are so many that are right up against the line out there, or possibly crossing it, but that's an ordinance too that we can allow it to be less than 15.
Okay. Well, it looks like it's been allowed several times, maybe.
Yeah.
I'll make a motion.
Commissioner Everly makes a motion to approve the building permit for Doug Van Erden down at Glenwood Acres. Is there a second to that motion? Seconded by Commissioner Materi. Is there any more discussion? Not hearing any. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Permit approved.
You buy this block and build on top of it, too.
No, we don't let us park in this.
Homestead.
Yeah.
Building permit for John Vittlesbacher to move a 16 by 80 trailer and erect a 24 by 40 garage on irregular tract, section 3, township 133, range 77. So that's out on the farm, right?
Yeah, that's a private road going in, and then,
Is that on Neil's farm?
Yeah,
so yeah, it's right before the.
right before the main farm yard?
Yeah.
I think Leon's reading up the field.
There's no issue with setbacks or nothing that
No,
up there, so.
No, the only thing is, we're still waiting on a plat, so we can plat out the piece just to put in his name.
Okay.
But, that's gonna come in this week, and
So-
it's gonna be bigger than an acre, and all that will be good too.
So is that all in Neil's name then?
Oh,
Yes.
That land?
For that.
Well, I guess with that,
Grandma's still alive,
in place, I think, we should probably just put a contingency on the building permit that it goes along with it's approved when there's a plat, because you can't approve a building permit for something that doesn't have land, so.
Yeah, I haven't got it yet, he said this week we'll.
So I think we'll just approve it contingent on your approval with the plat.
Sound good?
If that's okay with you and everything jives. And
Yeah, so we don't have to wait till next month and.
right, we'll just, if he brings it in at the end of this week and everything goes good with it, we can give you permission to kind of sign off on the building permit then.
Sound good?
Okay. So I guess entertain a motion to approve, table, or deny this.
I'll accept it.
Commissioner Materi's gonna make a motion to approve the building permit with the contingent that the plat is approved by Josh.
Yeah.
Is there a second to that motion? Second by Commissioner Holm. Is there any more discussion on the building permit for John Vittlesbacher? Not hearing any. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Tax abatement for parcel 52-0011-00699-000 for tax year 2022.
You qualify for the homestead credit.
Got it.
Alright, well, if you qualify for the homestead credit, that's pretty much, if you qualify it, that's the law, so.
Make a motion, make a motion.
Commissioner Everly makes a motion to approve the application for abatement. Is there a second to that motion? Second to the motion.
I'll second.
Commissioner Materi makes a second to, approve the application for abatement. Is there any more discussion? Not hearing any, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Being approved. I always felt these things are kind of foolish.
I do that.
Yeah, you gotta do it, but like I said, I mean, if they follow the rules and the laws, so whatever. Tax abatement for parcel 02-7179 for tax year 2022.
It's a fire exception.
That's what?
Fire exception, he applied. He got approved for a fire exception.
It was just a little late or what?
Yeah.
Was it done?
Make sure you get the right one. All right, motion to approve, table, deny the tax payment for 2022 for property ID 02-7179. Motion to approve, table, or deny the abatement. Commissioner Everly makes a motion to approve. Second by Commissioner Materi. Any more discussion on tax payment 02-7179? Not hearing any, all those in favor say aye. Opposed? Approved. Last one, tax payment for parcel 52-14-795-0.
Homestead credit.
Homestead credit. Motion by Commissioner Everly to approve, second by Commissioner Materi. Any more discussion on the abatement? Not hearing any, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Abatement approved. Building permit for Dan Lago to erect 36 by 70 residence with a 32 by 35 attached garage, northwest quarter, northeast quarter, and the northeast quarter, northwest quarter, section 34, township 133, page 74.
Right.
Yeah.
Water no function.
Yeah, everything's good there.
Commissioner Hall makes a motion to approve the building permit for Dan Lago, second by Commissioner Materi. Any more discussion on the building permit for Dan Lago? Not hearing any, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Permit approved.
Culvert is to the east of this house.
Building permit for Jerome Culver to erect a 50 by 70 storage building on track E of Highway 1804 in the north half, the southeast border of northeast border of section 31, township 136, range 78.
Talking on the phone and everything seemed good, but he's gonna come in, do come in and draw.
Yes.
Where's that at? Where's showing?
Yeah, the house goes through.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that used to be, it shows, the Milbrad farm, the Schmidt farm there, it's right out 1804. Must be sold that place, almost had a Jerome Culver here, so. Could be. But yeah, it's a new, it used to be a Schmidt farm, so they have years and then. So. Fucking with you. Everything looks good though, Josh?
Yeah.
Looks like it's burnt far out.
Oh,
Motion to approve, table, or deny a building permit for Jerome Culver for a storage unit. To approve?
Yeah.
Commissioner Materi makes a motion to approve the building permit. Is there a second? Second by Commissioner Holmes. Is there any discussion? Not hearing any, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Building permit approved. A plat for Lot A, part of Government Lot 1, part of the east half, the west half, section 19, township 134, range 75. Looks like it's 60 acres, so it's size issue, everything looks.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, that was good.
Where's this out at? Out by Beaver Bay?
So, just
No, I believe
get,
Hold up.
The hanging, is it where that hanging?
Oh, this is way, no. One 134.75.
it's on the south side there, going up there towards, Wall Clear.
It's up. Oh, it's up.
With addition.
That's straight
Well,
up.
I don't know if it's all the way up there, but east of the buffer.
Is it up?
I don't go out and check the spots. I just make sure they draw out on it. So. They're just separating the problem.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, no, this is northeast of Tenvick.
Yeah, and top of it. Yeah.
This is.
Yeah, so be like,
East of 83.
yep. So you know where the Ray Honey Farm is?
So, for 70.
It's right south on it, be right at, 70th Street.
4 miles east of Tenvick and off the way.
Go east.
Right there.
Yeah.
How big is that?
60 acres. So it's not really a size issue, and it's tied to the,
So it's.
west section line and the north section line. So it's just a parcel of land they're subdividing out for. I'm assuming it looks like they're subdividing the farmland from the grass or something, so somebody got the grass, somebody got the farmland or something. So yeah, I don't know, doesn't look like there's really any issues. It's tied to the section corners, it's really size and it's like the structure, so. Motion to approve, table, or deny the plat for, I think it's for Michael Heine, so. Motion to approve by Commissioner Terry, second that motion. Seconded by Commissioner Miller. Any more discussion? Not hearing any, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Approved. Next one here is a building permit for Thomas L. to erect a 40 by 60 shop on lots 37, 38, and 45, Beaver Bay subdivision, section 23, township 132, 379.
No, this one came Friday, and I wasn't here, I just saw it this morning, but you guys want to do a contingent on it, and I'll call them, and possibly go out there, see what's going on. But it's right south of Kerr Reeves.
So it's basically like an open lot,
Yeah, right now there's nothing
there's
there.
nothing there.
He builds inside these trees, obviously he's fine, the only issue would be how close he is to the core line.
Sure. Well, I guess I have no issue with just putting a contingent that Josh gets the final approval on setbacks and make sure that it's properly done. I mean, I don't see any other issue to stop it.
I'll make a motion.
Commissioner Everly makes a motion to approve. Commissioner Everly makes a motion to approve the building permit. You want to add that contingent in there? With the contingent that Josh gets final approval with setbacks and seconded by Commissioner Terry. Is there any more discussion? Not hearing any. All those in favor of the building permit, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Building permit approved. All right. With that, we have the bills. I didn't know this morning, I didn't know it was a big deal. I mean, you know, everything.
Looks like on there too, that will come to everything, come together. All those will go. And you got to look at it.
There, get some grass there. Sit down, just sit on there. Let him sit on there. On this deal. With the sheriff. Yeah, they're in the finish. I don't know more than everything, but it's wrong. Up there, it could be a lot of move down, crazy. The next thing there is, so. Theory, I was supposed to do. It go there. That's it. So, here. Here for that, here. Maybe 17. I think. It is there. Oh, it's got a sign there.
I don't. Doesn't look like there's anybody in here yet.
Well, let me say something.
Oh, yeah. You know that Gary find anybody yet?
I believe you're interviewing this week.
You did or did not?
He is interviewing this week as
How
well.
many applicants did he get?
That I'm not certain.
So I see like it has a bunch. That's what we know.
There. Yeah, would it be to
What do we do with what?
humans?
What do we do with what?
Yeah.
Right now, it's maybe,
Is your
sign
Yes.
it,
usually take a spot on the inside of the sign wall. Otherwise, if I'm in the middle, it's got to hit the back.
That's a big expense, and there's no secrets that are shown. That should be paid to the, no, what it costs the taxpayers per year. This target tree. What's the deal with oil change?
it's, I mean,
That's, So that folder is gonna be about social service. Usually, we just still, because of the host, but that actually comes out of their budget. So those are actually by the vehicles in the Ellendale office.
Okay.
So.
Jeez.
Yeah, the folders are usually a specialized thing like in here. There's one of them's usually like active outfit and department. This one, the blue one here, social services. See how that works is when the state combined all those into a deal, they needed a host county. We became the host county, so we approve and all the bills come through our auditor's office and then they're provided.
yeah, that's fine. He just called this morning. He said he was gonna
What's the deal here? This case of 52 agrees from Dennis Hall.
Road department just bought these.
They buy a tree.
He probably picked it up someplace.
Oh, he picked, oh.
I don't know.
He put them there. Last time or something.
So he picked it up and then,
That's what I'm guessing.
oh, down wire.
But you ain't believe it.
Yeah, that's apparently that.
You can just find, I think that's doing good work. I'm sure like,
Okay, I can say. Yeah. And then he had asked sometime he was going to build them out in the country someplace.
So I have to go to the higher. It's much greater, but it's. The shell flood will come along with Kevin's, we just got his after show. And it might be.
I suppose I should sign this one here and maybe an excavating their comment.
Yeah, that was for the Braddock shop.
He was rolling in, at least strong, was all mistaken. So I just assumed.
Marcy, this letter from FEMA, that's kind of the same thing as that email that I had forwarded back, right, with the, Emmons County flood hazard determination. The city of Lytton, all that stuff too. There's any appeals or issues?
Just is. Is that your meeting or Twin City Road on these flat roads?
Well, it's been a part of a multiple year project, because I don't think they could do all of it in 1 year.
Okay.
I think they did the part over the sheriff's office and all that this year. I think last year was this south end. So I think there's 2 or 3 bladders up there that they kind of merged together because it's such a big road.
Okay.
So then they did it kind of did it in stages basically, so. I think they're done with the roof now though. I think that was the last part.
Order for the fridge.
Do what?
Search for trainers.
He replaced the fridge downstairs, you know.
Fridge in the brick.
This is your right next year.
Thanks, I gotta get built, man.
We started sneaking.
Oh, shit.
It's gravel for free.
Yeah.
It's travel for free, all kinds of stuff. Yeah, if you read the newspaper, I'm a bad guy.
So am I.
Well, everybody knew that before you read the newspaper, but yeah. Tell you what, whoever made the copy in that one room, you could run a car off this stuff.
Give up. What are you gonna rebuild them now? Let it go.
Wonder how that Oliver County Commission meeting went, if they were gonna uphold their zoning board on the denial of that sequestration well. That's, I would imagine that's gotta be top flight news somewhere out there.
That's a good idea. Don't go to the votes and then back to yours. Start them. Start them. Stink.
Yeah, there was a lot of meetings today.
Such a sample people. Such a sample people. I wonder about that.
Well, yeah, but just remember you're being recorded, so whatever you discuss, I mean, it's on the record. Shall we adjourn? That's right. Keep the swearing to a minimum and don't talk about your neighbors.
No, don't touch. If I get that first time, I know it was hot.
I'm trying to figure out when you stop. That's the best question, actually. I love how you make it, you don't do that anymore.
You don't do it anymore.
Just because you do it under your breath, don't mean you don't do it.
Yeah, you think you're off camera.
Just remember, Dan used to swear on camera. He don't do that no more.
He just did now.
I know, so I'm laughing. Oh, yeah. Oh, boy, I used to do that so bad. Good thing I caught myself, yeah.
What do you want about in the backyard?
And what was this law firm for? Is that for that retainer?
Is it Broughton Law Firm? Yeah. Yeah, that's what the Summit Pipeline meant.
I remember this meeting when you walked in, what you said.
Oh, we should have.
No, that's not what he said.
Yeah.
Did what?
He said, we should have caught him.
So what was on my mind, was nothing cosmetic.
There's nothing wrong with saying what's on your mind.
I didn't even. Was he the other guy?
Am I allowed to choose?
Yeah.
Go for it.
I just had a stop. I'm Rick Seymour from Southern Emmons County,
Okay.
and boy, people, we could use some gravel down there. I came up today, and I wouldn't have made it without four-wheel drive.
You just north of David Reitman, right?
South,
Well, you're south of him?
south and west a little
Up
bit.
on the hill there.
Yeah. I called Don Everly, who's down Everly. I talked to you here a couple times. And I didn't plan, I came up here for other reasons, but I thought, golly, you guys are having a commissioner meeting today. I want to tell you about that gravel. I don't know if we have to have an ambulance or something come out. Hopefully we need no fire today. But we need an ambulance out there. We got a situation.
I told Skyler about that. When they gravel there, they didn't get none down that way at all.
We got a culvert.
I've seen that.
It's got a big dip in it, and they're gonna be hauling a lot of farm product through there pretty quick. And I don't know if that culvert's coming in or what, but that's gonna,
What is the address on that?
You have the legal on that, or the address?
no. I don't,
It's just south of David Reitman.
that culvert that's bad,
Yeah.
that is, do you know where the old Ernie Jones place was at?
Where would it
You know
be?
where that gravel pit's at, that you guys missed out on the gravel pit?
yeah.
It's just north of that gravel pit, on that road there. You'll see it, it's, as you go through, it's sunk in about that far.
It was right on the line there almost.
Yeah.
Well, the line, it's a mile in North Dakota on the line.
It's that far, eh?
Yep, it's about a mile in, because maybe it's a half mile. You know, Hunter or Jerry's got that plan there, and then it goes, it's a mile in, I think, or 3/4 of a mile, I think, probably. Because there's Jerry's got that section alfalfa, and then comes another, I'd say it's a mile in. It's right at a mile in. You go a mile north there, and as soon as you turn west, it's that big, right down in there, that culvert's given way.
You got your phone number?
Give your phone number, give him his phone number.
I'll call
Skyler.
I'll call Skyler and give him the numbers and everything.
Okay. Rick Seymour, 701-336-7121. I'll give you my cell.
Say that to yourself.
That might,
We're being recorded still too, if you didn't want to give it out to the whole county, just so you know.
oh, is that right?
This camera's going right now.
Okay, I'm not worried, everybody get my number, 605-228-9995. I don't think you can hide that anymore.
Steve already scared me.
The telemarketer got it, so. That's it, fellas.
Thanks for stopping in. Yep.
Thank you.
That's Sonny's. Is that Sonny's kid? Seymour?
I don't know.
I think it is.
The only Seymour I know down there is that John Seymour that owns that campground there right by the State Line Resort,
Oh, he is.
right to the west of there, but. There's a few Seymours down in that country though,
Yeah.
I suppose.
One of these marks is waiting. Whoa.
That's our audit plan.
Sure, it's nice to get moisture this late in the year though. I mean, it probably impacts some things, but boy, to not go into winter so miserably dry at least, cause
But it was windy.
it was dry. Oh, last night that wind was.
I came back last night.
Well, you must have pretty good dowsing at your place too, though, not, yeah. That's what I did. My rain gauge said an inch.
You couldn't see. They're like 5 miles an hour. It was nuts. Other thing, I didn't try after we could. You know, what the wind, but that means when it's taller, I don't know. If there was, they look good. Yeah. But I think it's more not there. Wind. Yeah. Good. But 4 years good wait. Yeah. Bad. Just add, it's an good. Yeah, that's every year. Every year. Like, first of all, yeah, not.
Sounds like a pretty good wheat year though, huh?
Huh?
Sounds like a pretty good wheat year for a lot of people.
Kind of surprised, but that would have done a little while. Honestly, got there, and they thought it wasn't gonna be done.
What's the shit cost your damage? It's 4480. Was it 2480?
For what?
Guys,
Demolition of homes and stuff.
Oh, it's like $4,500.
45.
Well, it's 20%.
20%.
22,400, so yeah.
Okay, you're right. Yeah.
I don't know.
That's a good no,
but I mean, I say, you know, here's one, you know. Anyway. Yeah. My opinion.
Budget's an estimate, so.
No, I'm sure this is the license, private license renewal for the software. And then the services and fees are probably, because since we haven't had a tax director, we've been at, Vanguard's been helping us with some, like data entry, things like that, stuff like that, so that's where we've built.
Great, supply.
well, like everyone's an extension office, whenever we need to provide stuff. Cash out and stuff.
Snacks and stuff. Oh.
Yeah, they have a, they got a big, like a waterfall. The big 20-gallon deals or whatever. It's always been there, I guess. Bring it up, come on.
The big roads, right? That open roads. Yeah, they're. you might use them.
They don't think so, apparently.
Maybe, it's like, this is everything. Yeah, how much can that cost? That's how the mower. Yeah, little snapper, I got that. They dumped one, was $3.96. That was wrong. So on the way down, picked up, they don't know about this one, but $18.72 a cent.
You're right.
And like, are you kidding me? It's the same snapper, it's just a little, this one's wider, and they're almost near. I mean, it's a small thing, but it's just.
Yeah, I know.
Very clear.
It's unbelievable.
The small shit, you just get smashed. Can you wonder what it's Tom's done?
Wonder when the PSC is gonna come up with a decision on the reconsideration. Well, they did, they denied that permit, but now they're gonna, some had filed for reconsideration because they amended the permit.
They turned it on again.
Well, now they have to review. Yeah.
If you read this book, it's
So I don't know. Sounds to me like they amended it a lot, like almost too much for reconsideration, so they would almost have to apply again, so that's what the PSC is gonna have to determine if it's, it sounds like they've changed the route pretty significantly in some parts. Right, but I mean, it sounds like they made significant changes and then they literally landed in the same spot. But they danced around a few people that probably aren't gonna sign and then, but it's really didn't change all that much, so I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what happens.
Just like,
Like ordinance or something like that? Well, I'd say it'd be a special use permit if they're gonna do any kind of drilling or, because a lot of our zoning doesn't cover like industrial wells and things like that, so usually you have to get a special use permit, conditional use permit. No, I'm sure that for us with the conditional use permit, because you have to amend the zoning to have a commercial water site, recreational and agricultural areas, so yeah, so they'd have to come with a conditional use permit. I don't know, sounds to me like when they drill them big wells, then they have to have them every X amount of miles, so they probably don't need one if it's a.
But it's different. One step at a time.
Well, if you guys are done looking at the bills, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn, seconded. Okay, all those in favor say aye?
Aye.
Aye, meeting adjourned. Hit the gavel, Donnie. Hit the gavel.
Yeah, I can't stop.